Hey, howdy everybody. Dadman Walking 55 here. Hey, we used the news intro tonight for once. How are y'all doing tonight? As I got so having fun in the background, I forgot to flip my background. Hey, we already got 5 people here. Wow, that's awesome tonight, folks. Welcome. It is 2 minutes after 8 on the east coast of the USA, and welcome to another SEC Weekly 2023 SEC College Football. Hey, we love football. We love the SEC. It is incredible what's going on now. Oh my gosh, there's a Squirtle over there in the Twitch side. I gotta get that Squirtle. Hey, FK, good to see you tonight. Hey, listen, folks, I am pumped up for tonight's show. We came off the talk last night with our good friend Hungry Boy about Police Academy. Everything about Police Academy was a great show. We also unveiled that in 2 weeks from tonight, we are going to be talking about the original series Battlestar Galactica. Make sure you're here for that. That's going to be incredible. And to do something very outside of my normal comfort zone, but there's going to be some cool stuff with that. Well, I hope that y'all are having a great evening. Sit back, relax with me with this wonderful guest. Probably a very, very new and fresh face to all of y'all out there, except for one guy in the chat in there. But dude, I tell you what, this guy is a guy that we've seen in action. You talk about passion, you talk about sports. This guy brings it. He does on the field work for some sports organizations, and dude leaves nothing back. It's all in out on the court. You'd think he was playing the dadgum game, but this guy rocks it. One of the greatest voices around that you will hear. I hope you give him a great, wonderful welcome. For all you guys out here, it's the great MC Wally. Hey, Wally.
Hey, Dadman, how you doing, bud?
I'm good. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I got a nice cold beverage, got the mic on, and I am ready to talk football.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, folks. This. I think with MC right here, he and I could fill up a 24-hour stream with football. So actually, I've done two 24-hour streams, MC.
Oh, word, really?
Yeah, one was a celebration which we had for 100 subs, where we kind of did a bunch of different things, like some little talks like this and some game Fortnite and moving around type things. One was a daggone 24 straight hours of nothing but Fortnite. That was the hard one.
I can
That was
imagine, man. That's
that.
crazy.
My friend Lisa, she's busy today, but she might jump in at some point. She stayed with me all 24 hours and played. And about 5 o'clock in the morning, we were kind of like, what are we? We finally hit a point of we're just going to kind of talk. It was just babble for about an hour and a half, and it was just, and then the missus and somebody else jumped in and got us restarted for the last part of the day. But hey, so what? Tell us for the people. A lot. What we usually do to here is think about some of the things you want to tell about people. What about you? Some of your hobbies, things like that. Let me go ahead and greet the people in the chat. So let me just say, make sure, folks, if you're new here, we love your support. Thanks for being here tonight. We're at 466 subs. We're trying to get to 500. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. We do Fortnite, we do football, we do talk stuff like I said last night, movie reviews and all kinds of crazy stuff, a lot of random squirrel moments. So feel free. Love to have your support. I love to have a great guy like Wally here with us tonight. So make sure hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. It helps our algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't. We appreciate the support. And so, MC, while you're thinking about the question is, what for a lot of the people here that don't know you, you're a local personality here. What type of things are you into? What are your hobbies? What are your passions? Just a little bit about yourself, as we say. Just give you something to think about while I start to introduce the chat here. All right.
Yeah, fair enough. So, a little bit of a background about myself.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
I am a kind of a hype man in the local Jacksonville area.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, anytime you go to a sporting event or an event and you see some guy that's like, hey, who wants some free t-shirts, or we've got
Yes,
trivia questions, all that. I'm the guy that does that.
I
So
know.
I'm
Hey, you are awesome at that. Told you. I know our whole family has seen you for a number of years, and you are one of the best I've ever seen.
I appreciate that.
You
Man.
talk about a hype guy? This guy right here, Snortopoopas Cuber. He's our resident polar bear from down south here.
All word?
Yeah, yes.
Oh,
Hello, humans and other critters. He's always in our chats and around YouTube and a lot of places.
oh,
So,
fantastic. So yeah,
oops.
anyway, so that's a little bit about what it is that
Yeah.
I do. In my
Mhm.
day to day, I actually work in marketing and advertising, but
Mhm.
when I am not doing the boring job, I'm out in front of people getting hyped up and having a good time. I've been doing this for a little over a decade now. Wow,
Wow.
decade.
Yeah,
I
I
started back in
know. My kids were
2013, man.
my kids were small and we saw you. Yeah, exactly. Well, let me do real quick while you're thinking about that. We got Snortopoopas here. We got some guy named Yemi. So
I know that guy.
yes, I know.
Rebel rouser.
Exactly. We got AFK coming in with the Squirtles. Hey, and on the Twitch side, so if you're on Twitch, make sure you follow us over there. We're nearing 100 there. Good to see you tonight, my friend AFK, who's going to come on the show in a few weeks. Snorter Poopas is talking about Cattle Car Ponderosa. Oh, gosh. Talking about Battlestar. The Mrs. is here. Hello, Mrs. And Mrs. knows you, our kids, like I said, you said at least a decade. Yeah, because our kids were little when we saw you out on the field. So, Yolanda Phillips, hello. I don't think I recognize you, but good to see you tonight. Glad to have you with us. And Stunning and Brave, oi, our friend from the great north up there, Alberta. And oh, well, here we go. Another new person, Snow Unwritten Story, I guess. Trixie. Hey, go Big Blue, Kentucky Nation, baby. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
boy.
We're going to have fun with that one tonight. You can stay around definitely for I got a lot to say about that one. So, oh my goodness. And let's see. Oh gosh. Uh, let's see. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anybody here. Sometimes with this chat, it's it's sometimes going through this thing in a hurry, you run the risk of missing people, and it's
Oh, for
like
sure. But
it
as
can
long as
pop.
people are coming in and you're talking to them
Exactly.
and kind of acknowledging
Exactly.
them, that's great.
Exactly. Masters Maniac Mexico. Hello, sir. What actually him and Stunning earlier have created on this channel a sport named Faki.
Focky, that seems questionable.
Well, we take football. You know the indoor football, right? But they take football and combine it with hockey. But boarding is allowed. You
Hmm.
know, you can board them really good. And hey, yeah, Team Stacks. I don't know what Team Stacks is, but
I
hey,
can give you a little background on Team Stack. So,
Jeff McMahon. Hello, how are you tonight? All right, let so what is this Team Stacks?
so Team Stacks is kind of this Twitter movement that features Stevie Stacks 84. Stevie Stacks is he's a good friend of mine, but he basically is just a dude that likes to spread positivity and he does
Mm-hmm.
giveaways. But like he's one of my really good friends. Him and I actually work. We have a scratch off YouTube
Mm-hmm.
channel that we've started a couple of months ago that has kind of taken off, and so we can talk about that a little bit later. But basically,
Yeah.
people who follow him, people who follow me, if they're a part of Team Stacks, it's all
Mm-hmm.
about positivity and just trying to support each other
Mm-hmm.
in positive mindsets and positive ways. So
Okay. Well, hello to Christina Jackson also. And I think that's cool because I keep seeing Stevie's the GOAT. And that's cool because, see, what we like to do around here is positivity too. We like to, except when I get on a Gator rampage. But, there's enough politics, there's enough crap and enough other, stuff to depress you, in life and on YouTube and other places. It's like, we want to do stuff that is positive, uplifting, have fun, just random type things, and we need more of that around.
yeah, absolutely, man. It's like we only have one life, so why spend it being miserable and upset with things that are sometimes out of our control? Let's just focus on the things that we can control and try
Mm-hmm.
and be as positive about those things as possible. But yeah, that's a little bit more about Team Stacks, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you'll be seeing that pop through the chat throughout
Oh,
the
that's
entire
awesome.
evening.
Well, welcome everybody here. Thank you for being here. Like I said, if you're on the Twitch side, make sure you follow us. Hit that like button on our side on YouTube and consider giving us your subscribe if you like it. And we try to be positive. And you never know. I've been known to do a 2 a.m. live stream and go to work, still get up at 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, go to work the next day. So, age is only a thing. It's like,
Facts. I couldn't tell you the last time I game till. Actually, no, I could tell you the last time I game till 3 in the morning. It was probably about 3 weeks ago, and it was one of those rare weekends where you don't have anything else going on, so you're just like, yeah, why not? You might as well just see where the
oh,
night takes you.
exactly. Well, let's get back. Oh, thank you, Yolanda Phillips. Appreciate it. I appreciate everything. We're trying to get to 500. We're like 34 away. We actually got within 32, and then YouTube took it's, the YouTube algorithm will drive you crazy if you let it. So,
Oh
and
yeah.
sort of Poopa's ages number, a huge number. Oh man, Christina said her baby woke her up at 3 a.m. last night.
Oh, sorry to
Oh,
hear that.
oh my goodness. So let's go back. We've talked to people in the chat. We'll greet them as they come in. So you introduce yourself like as a hype man. What really got you into that? What is there? Was it personality? Was there something? Because like I said, we've watched you for all these years, and you're the best in the local community.
So I will let you in on a little secret. I had absolutely no intention of being kind of a front-facing person. So back in 2012, 2013, I wanted to work in sports, but I definitely wanted to be kind of like behind the scenes, whether it was working in production or working in front
Mm-hmm.
office, like trying to get my foot into the door. So I got an internship with the Jacksonville Sharks, and at the time, they had an MC and a host that was doing things. But at the very beginning of the season, don't know what happened, but he just up and left, was like, I'm moving on to something else, or I'm doing something different. You guys fend for yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
my manager at the time, who was kind of showing us the ropes and stuff like that, she picked me and was just like, I love your personality, and I think you have the personality to do this. And I told her, absolutely not. I don't want to be in front of people. I don't know how to speak in front of people. I was mad shy, super shy, like
Wow.
personable, but like
Yeah.
kind of like I didn't want to be in front of people. But she encouraged me. She's like, look, this is an opportunity for you to do something that not many of our other interns are going to get the opportunity to do. If you go out and you don't like it, then you don't like it, and that's fine. But you should at least give it a try. So I did my first game, and it went all right. It wasn't great, but it wasn't particularly good, but
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't as scary as I thought. So then I was like, all right, well, if I can get through one game, I can get through two. And if I can get through two, I can kind of get through the season. So basically, as the season went on, I started to kind of learn more about what goes into hosting, what goes into like commanding a room, being able to speak eloquently, but also like not be so boring, and different things of that nature. And I did it for the season. They asked me
Mm-hmm.
to do it again the next season, and by year two, I was like, you know what, I could actually probably make this something worthwhile. So I started to really expand, really try to hone on my craft. I started putting myself out there more and more and more. And after a while, I had started lining up gigs with Red Bull. I did stuff with Swisher International. I was able to go out to South by Southwest, the big that big like kind of festival that they have out there every March, and hosted some events there. Then I got to work with the Jaguars for a matter of seasons. I've worked with the University of North Florida basketball team. I've worked with the Jacksonville Armada, which was a soccer team. And obviously now I do stuff with the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, the AAA affiliate
Mm-hmm.
for the Marlins. And through it all, like I enjoy what I do because it's fun being able to, like, I'm not to say that like I'm a different person. I'm pretty consistent. Who I am on the field is pretty consistent to who I am in real life. But it is really fun to be a person who can kind of go and like elevate that personality to another level, another step. But also, it's just really fun to be a part of an experience where the goal is to let people enjoy themselves for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever amount of time that they're at the event or at the game
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. So just being a part of that and seeing all the smiles, seeing people being happy, really makes this job worth it.
Yes. Let me do a few things real quick. Yolanda Phillips, again, thank you for the new subscription. We've gotten at least 5 new subs. I don't get all the notifications, but two others, Haley's Closet and Stevie Stacks Dares. Thank y'all for the subs tonight, and thank you for anybody else that may have subbed. If you want to say it in the chat, I want to recognize you. But hey, thanks for being here. Thank you for the new subs, and I love what you said there with it. And like Yolanda says, I love seeing people happy. That's kind of what I've gotten into this thing for. The missus has always told me I need a hobby and this, that, and the other, and like we talked about no drama. I'm a Star Wars guy, but most of the stuff you see on YouTube is so of the mouse and the KK and all that stuff. People know, like they talked about my mall rants, they're famous, but I don't want to focus on all the stuff all that crap. I want to go into new things and create things that we have, like comic books, arts, things that I'm not usually into. It's been kind of interesting, and having people come by to laugh, to have a channel in terms of being a place where people, if they have a bad day, can come in and be, forget about their problems and hang out with us. And I love your attitude with all that, because that is not what I expected you to say at all. Not
uh,
at all, because what you described is the other guy out in the chat, quite frankly, because that you had looked at least from the fan standpoint, up in the stands, just like this. Here's a guy. Here's a complete extrovert. He's out here. This is a showman. He knows his stuff, which I think is all the better, because the joy is very apparent when you're out there on the crowds. I don't think Hype Man does it justice, because you're not just fake. It's your excitement and your thrill of people comes through very naturally.
I
So it's
appreciate that, man.
to
Thank
hear
you.
that to hear that description about yourself really catches me off guard a lot, because I, you know I consider myself shy. My wife says, "No, you're not. You're all this other stuff." But you know, they tell me, shy people, introverts. We've had plenty of discussions about that. But to understand that from you, that's got to be a transition to be, uh, you know, to have that background to feel that way, but then to be out there to feel. Do you? It's like you're a competitor, like you're an athlete too. When
Hmm.
showtime rolls around, the juices get flowing, right?
Oh, absolutely, man. Like, to be real honest, I would say probably every 30 minutes before I go out and do anything, I'm super nervous. Like the nerves kick in, and you got the butterflies in your stomach, and you're just like, it's a weird feeling. But once you're out there and you start doing it, and like that muscle memory kicks in, and you're looking around and you're seeing people having fun, and then people are engaged with what you're doing, then all of
Yes.
that stuff just goes away. And it's possible to be an extroverted like introvert. That is a real thing. Some people know how to turn it on, and then obviously once their energy is run out, then they kind of go into their little hidey holes for a little bit, just so that they can recharge. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think
Hmm.
that I've definitely kind of phased into that more, as I've gotten older, where I'm like, I love really being around people and enjoying what I do, and you know being boisterous and being fun. But man, once that energy's gone, then hey, MC Wale is gonna head into his little cave for a couple of days and you know recharge.
Yeah, yeah. That people tell me all about the whole recharge thing, and as I get older, and sometimes with this, I kind of understand it a little bit more, especially when we have the Fortnite streams. Those are the crazy, crazy events. It's like uh, not just herding cat. Well, we do call it herding cats, because it's all over the place, and occasionally it's sometimes it gets so loud, so rambunctious, and you do have to recharge. But it's definitely fun and definitely worth it. Like I said, I'm just amazed. I'm so surprised to hear you describe yourself like that, because to me you were so natural with it. It looked like you were born a showman all your life, and not something you were taught into, or at least had to present it. That would. How nervous were you that first time? Were you afraid that you wouldn't come off right, or?
It was very much a I hope my voice doesn't crack, that I don't go through puberty again
Yes.
in the middle of this field with 8,000 people staring at me. But um you know, I think that
And they're a
every
hard
time,
crowd. And they're a
yeah,
hard crowd in this town. They're a hard crowd.
oh yeah, for sure. Like great crowd. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
I love our crowds, but man, like they can be intimidating at times. But I think really it was just that the very first time was very much a I'm just
Mm-hmm.
gonna do what I can and hope for the best. And sometimes that's okay. You know, you don't have to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You can go out there and just try and be yourself and be your most authentic self, and hopefully that translates and people understand it and read that energy and can vibe with it. So but yeah, no, I was scared shitless the first time I went out there to do it. It was scary.
Absolutely. So, folks, make sure y'all hit that like button too. While we're here with my great guest, the MC Wally. Now, is it Wally or Wally or because I've heard them say it
So
different,
it's
like
Wale, with
Wale?
the
Okay.
kind of like an accent. I went with Wale until I was probably 22 or 23, and then I decided that it was important for people to actually say my name correctly.
So it's because I've only heard it as the MC Wally, but it's Wale.
It's Wale, yes.
Wale. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I will definitely me no disrespect and stuff like that because see, we treat our guests and our new subscribers wonderfully, but as our friend Masters Maniac Mexico says, if you're an ordinary subscriber, you will get mentioned. If you're a German subscriber, you will get made fun of. That's sad music. Hey, our resident German that lives down in Mexico. It's so good to see you here tonight. We got 8 of y'all here
Whoa,
with us. So
really? Hold on. Let's
yeah,
talk about that for a
yeah.
second. So,
Okay.
from Germany in Mexico,
Yes.
that is quite a transplant.
Yes, exactly. He's in quite of our chats. This is early for him, but yeah, some of our late night, overnight chats. Yeah, he's actually one of the lead directors about Faki.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he and Stunning and Brave came up with Faki during one of our football streams before, and so and if we get on the subject of World Cup and soccer, this is one of our favorite guys that loves the real world football. So
Okay, fair enough. Well, all right. I'm going to ask you one quick question about hockey before we move on. Then,
okay,
so if it's a merge between football and hockey, all right, what is the equivalent of icing in hockey? Then I'm assuming it's going to be offsides.
hmm. I don't think there's a penalty for icing. I don't
Hmm.
think that they have a violation. So yeah, it's just I don't think I think it's no holds barred. I think the beauty of hockey is there are no rules.
Oh,
Yeah. Yes,
fair
exactly.
enough.
And Master said to you, he came as a physician and stayed as a husband.
No,
Wale.
that's awesome.
Hey, all right. Good. Yep. Absolutely. Hey, but hey, no, I that's the point as I understand it from studying a master's. There are no rules. That's the beauty of Faki. You just yeah, and boarding's allowed. So hey, that's the beauty of a game. Because our lovely football we're going to talk about tonight. How many times have we complained there are too many rules, or they keep legislating and stuff? And the beauty of Faki is have a game that doesn't have rules. So wait a second. Oh my gosh. Icing is when you separate the head from the player. It just won't be to the stick. Okay.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
so hockey, very violent game then.
Yes. 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 It is. So, well, we have a rule clarification now with Faki. So, well, thank you for all that info about yourself, Wale, and I
Not a
appreciate.
problem.
Oh my gosh. Snort of Poopus comes in. World Faki League. We don't need those stinking rules. Oh, God. If the head rolls outside, it's double ice.
Jeez.
Dude, I tell you, what a crowd, what a chat, and there's many more that are normally here. So, and it's great to have all you new guys in tonight, ladies and gentlemen, that are new to the channel tonight. So, shall we at least get into last week's action before we
Absolutely.
talk more
Let's
football?
talk about it.
All right. Oh my gosh. Hey, folks. One of the first standard things that we always talk about on this channel is that we are not a gambling site. Everything that will be said when we talk, when we get to the pick section, everything else, we're just talking about things for fun. There is, if you decide to try to use me to gamble with, then you're kind of on your own because you deserve to lose. 'Cause you never know what's going to happen with the many of our picks. So, but hey, the whole thing is because of the algorithms, because of everybody out there looking stuff. We're not a gambling site. We're not out here for that. We're just people looking to have some fun about football. So, I mean, he's kind of saying the Focky fam is real. All right,
Bet.
dedicated, passionate people cling together. All right. Well, let's see. Okay, this is not for gambling. Let's get into the first game of last week. I can't even remember what it is, so we're going to hit this blind here. We got the Texas A&M Arkansas game that was played at Jerry's World. In this game, A&M pulls away with a 34-22 win against Arkansas. Texas A&M has a better offensive day than than they did last year in this game. 34-22, 12-point win. 19 first downs for A&M to 10 for Arkansas. More than double up the Arkansas offensive output with 400 yards of total offense, 200 both in the passing and running. Time of possession was even, and then they still won by 12, but yet committed 3 penalties in this game. Arkansas, though, very anemic offense, not even 200 yards total offense. In the game, Max Johnson for Texas A&M in his first start this season, replacing Connor Wegman as a starter for A&M, was 17-28 for 210 yards, threw for 2 touchdowns and an interception. Le'Veon Moss for the Aggies had 17 carries for 107 yards. Aeneas Smith for Texas A&M had 4 catches for 71 yards and also had a game the game put away score, an 82-yard punt return for a touchdown to extend their lead out. Meanwhile, for Arkansas, in a losing effort, KJ Jefferson was 9-17 for 132 yards, had a touchdown and an interception, and on 18 carries ran for a negative 3 yards. Point to people with stats. In the NFL, sacks count against the passing yards. In the college, sacking the quarterback counts as rushing yards. That's why he has 18 carries, but minus 3 yards rushing. Yes, sir, Wale. What's up?
So at what point does A&M, not A&M, but Arkansas decide that KJ Jefferson's not the answer?
Yeah, it's I think probably they're a situation where they have nobody on the bench, and because this has been his job for 2 or 3 years, he was looked to be as possibly one of the better quarterbacks in the Southeastern Conference, and I actually had a lot of respect for him, and had actually last year thought Arkansas would turn a corner after a good year with the first year with Sam Pittman there, but it's like he's regressing, and this year almost 50%, 100 completion, 132 yards. And in other games he's turned the ball over repeatedly.
Yeah.
And to your point though, when do you go to the backup?
I can't. He's a senior, so
yeah.
The assumption is that they wouldn't bench him for anyone like that. But it's just one of those things where it's like, how he's clearly like he's got to step up. His production's got to improve. He has got to be better. But how do you put him in better positions where he can succeed?
Mm-hmm. But and that's the thing is he was not. And as Mrs. said, welcome everybody. Great to see a lot of new faces. So, sometimes you wonder if quarterbacks need to change the scenery or maybe sit on the bench a little bit because he's had this job for several years now, and it just seems like he's regressing each week. Throwing for 130 yards, and I'm just kind of speechless with how he's going backwards. It's not when you think he's hit bottom, it gets worse again. But when you look at their roster, last year when he was hurt, they had nobody to come into play for him,
right?
That's a problem in a program like that. Who do you turn to?
Yeah, but
alternatively. Go ahead.
Sorry. Alternatively, though, you look at Texas A&M, you look at Max Johnson, he's been playing very well so far this season. Mm-hmm. But do you think this is the year that Texas A&M might actually make some noise, or are we going to expect Jimbo Fisher to to drop one or two coming at some point.
Well, I will tell you that that is interesting uh, that you asked that because last year I, I actually did not. I was actually I don't like Jimbo Fisher for one. Being he was in Tallahassee for a number of years, being a Gator fan. So, but last year the complete drop off that Texas A&M went through was just staggering. Um, I I did not have a lot of hope for A&M this year, but the one wild card I thought was that Bobby Petrino, as offensive coordinator coming in, could turn this offense around because one of the largest problems last year was they didn't have offensive production. They didn't have good quarterback play. But Bobby Petrino, with whatever criticisms you may have, has always had good offenses where he's been. Um, Long way to say it. I think they were on the borderline of making a mistake staying with Connor Wegman. Now, unfortunately, it took an injury and he's out for the season with a foot. Max Johnson impressed me when he was at LSU years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a combination thing. I think a combination of having a high quality, high caliber offensive coordinator like Bobby Petrino, which means he will not be there. He'll be a coach again soon,
You
and a
think so?
quarterback. Somebody will give him a job somewhere at some point. If he turns it around here at Texas A&M, somebody will give him a job somewhere. Not necessarily in the SEC, but somebody somewhere will give him another job down the road. But I think with that, with Max Johnson, the quarterback, I think A&M is turning the corner. I think this could be the year that they actually put it together.
I mean, if there was ever a year to do it, it would be this year. You've got a kind of down Alabama, LSU, as good as their offense is, they can't stop a nosebleed. So it's one of those things where if you were going to try and win the West, this is the year to do it.
Well, one of the things too is I think Jimbo needs to get off the wagon. He's got to do it at some point. With the buyout of Kevin Sumlin, the buyout it took to get him out of Florida State, then the high contract he's got now, and any buyout that would take, you're not paying, regardless of how deep pocket your boosters are, you're not paying a coach to come in to finish second or even second in the West. You're paying for a conference title. You expect SEC championship game appearances at a minimum, conference conference championship games wins. I mean, the question I had entering this season was if A&M started off slowly or had some early season losses, how loud would the noise be in College Station? Considering what it
Probably
takes.
not, because I think as much as they want to publicly say that, oh, we want to see SEC championships and I think they're content with being 2 or 3,
You do
especially
think so?
because they won't say it, they won't tell you
Yeah.
this, but I think they're perfectly okay with it, because why would they keep giving Jimbo Fisher money if they aren't content with being slightly above average? Like, real talk.
The thing is, I'm laughing because it's like, but for what they're spending to just be a little above average is like, you're probably right. I mean, I'm not. It's just an odd concept to think of, because you normally when you see people throwing the money around, they want wins, they want titles. Like when George Steinbrenner was throwing money around for the Yankees years ago, he wanted championships, he wanted titles, he didn't want to finish second.
They
But
want ultimately they want don't get me wrong, like I said, they want those things, and they'll say that out loud, but they're
mhm,
also good with he's doing fine, good enough, it's okay, at least this year.
mhm.
Next year, when Oklahoma and Texas are in the league too, then it becomes a little bit more pressing to start getting those wins, because now you've got Big Brother in the division, you want, or in the conference, and you want to start
Mhm.
trying to run stuff on them. So
Yeah, that was because that. Excuse me. That will renew that rivalry with them in Texas now. I mean,
yep.
that's been gone for quite a few years. And depending on how they schedule it, I believe I would expect that they would be paired up with Oklahoma also.
Hmm.
As I understand it, the current teams in the SEC will all uh, play them next year. So we'll see how that works. So
Okay.
I something we have to look at. One show I've got to look at next year's schedule because somebody told me that it's at least the general framework. The conference matchups are there. They're only playing. They are not even. They're staying with an 8-game conference format, which kind of stinks in some way. Because I'm afraid of losing the Tennessee rivalry with the Gators.
I don't think so. I think that
I
that's one that sticks. I think
mhm,
if there's ever a game that's probably going to disappear, it
mhm.
might be Florida Vandy or Florida
Oh
Miss.
yes,
Like, yeah,
please,
Florida Vandy is probably going to be the
yeah,
one that
please.
disappears.
Well, what I've heard out of Knoxville is that actually, if you told ask somebody up in Tennessee if they'd rather lose to Florida or South Carolina, they would rather lose to Florida.
Oh
They
yeah.
would rather beat South Carolina, and it's like some of the talk has been that could be that game could stay what Florida loses, but we don't know yet. Who knows what the future is going to hold? I know that with 9 conference games, there's more likely to keep some of those rivalries, but it's we will see down the road. So, but Master says, "Dad, man, this type of non-concept rules the whole playing football. I mean, we have second league teams bragging about playing Champions Leagues in one of those in my club. Hey, we got soccer in here.
Soccer
Uh,
talk.
soccer talk. Hey, it's all football.
Yeah,
Bring
that's
your
true.
football. We'll come in. Do you have any other thoughts about this game? Because, like I said, it was disappointing again to see Arkansas go into a game, repeatedly turn the ball over. It just it just well, it's like they couldn't catch a break. They were really snake bit, and you see a quarterback that's not performing. And A&M just was. I don't know. A&M looks different this year, so I do think that it could be the way. I think it could be the year they do stuff.
I'll say this: I don't give Arkansas really any thought because they are usually an afterthought. And the only time I pay attention to A&M is either when they're going up against Alabama, which is next week,
Mhm.
or when Jimbo Fisher makes a brain-headed decision and loses a game. So
Exactly.
you can
Exactly.
and you can set your clock to that. So
Absolutely. He's good for that. So, all right. Well, we will move on to the next game. This was no, I expected a little bit better game. It was really sloppy though. That's the
mm.
thing. Watching it, I thought we've got some much more exciting games that come up here. I'm afraid I think I know what game this one is. No, oh, good, not yet. But hey, not yet. The Georgia Bulldogs, number 1 in the nation, still go on the road. A hard fought match against Auburn. Talk about rivalries. This one dates back to 1894. It's amazing how old this rivalry is. Give Auburn credit; they hung in there.
They almost
Like
did it. They
well,
almost did it.
those 2 Georgia turnovers. Because when I the show last week, I was talking about for Auburn to stay in the game turnovers. They got some turnovers on the positive side of the field, which actually helped set up a couple of their scores and kept the game close. Georgia amassed 400 yards of offense. Carson Beck again throws for over 300 yards for the Dogs, 23 of 33 for 313 yards, a touchdown and a pick, which was I don't know if you saw that. I think it was Simpkins or Simpson, the guy for Auburn he's like leading the league in interceptions right now. He made a play on the ball where he came over and around and threw the guy, got his arms in there. It was just it was not a bad pass. It was a great play by the defender to get to the ball. Was just amazing. And then Brock Bowers is a monster. 8 catches for 157 yards. He caught the go-ahead winning score, 40-yard touchdown with 2:52 left in the game. Dejon Edwards for Georgia had 19 carries for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns on the day. Peyton Thorne for Auburn. This is kind of looked like bad numbers, but it was effective as Auburn quarterbacks have been in the last few years. 10 of 19, 82 yards with an interception, 12 carries, 92 yards. Did you get to see this game, and what did you think of this one?
I only saw the tail end, and just to shout out Jeff McMahon, Brock Bowers absolutely did put the team on his back. That was the only way they were getting away with that. The only way they were winning that game. But
Mm-hmm.
catching the tail end, it's like once again, it's just Georgia continuing to roll, even though they've lost a lot of pieces. They
Mm-hmm.
still are. They still just look like the absolute gem of the SEC, and definitely are going to be in that championship game. But I will say this: the way that Auburn played them, I'm not saying it's a blueprint, but there are pieces and elements there that if other teams were paying attention, you can attack.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. And we will talk more about that because I think one of those teams that could possibly have the blueprint, I think they face this week.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, let me see. Oh gosh, you got to love this chat. Some of these people around here, 10 of y'all here watching us. Make sure you hit that like button. And thank you for those that have subbed already. If you haven't, make sure you sub. Make sure that you're still subscribed to the channel because they take it away sometimes. And make sure you get the notifications so when we go live. But I've got a question for you, Wale.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, from Masters Mania, Mexico. Question panel for the guest. All right, for the panel guest. Who, in your opinion, is the Darth Maul of college football?
The Darth Maul of college football. Are we talking about the Darth Maul as a whole, or are we talking just SEC?
Dude, I love it. And Hell Castle, good to see you tonight, Castle. Yeah, Masters, which one is it? The whole one or the two-part one?
Because if we're talking about all of college football, I'd have to think about it. If we're talking about strictly in the SEC, I mean, I you could still say it's Saban. You could still say it. I don't. Yeah, that's who I yeah Darth yeah Saban's still Darth Maul of the
Yeah.
SEC, and then if we're talking about all of college football, I'm gonna have to think about that, but I'll have an answer for you after our next game.
Well, see, the other thing I always think of Darth Maul is the two parts because we had that debate around here whether he lived or not. That's why when you see hashtag Maul lives or a Maul rampage, it's because I can get off on that at times. And uh, so the two-part Darth Maul, I don't even have to think about that one. It's like, ugh, I don't know. But hey,
The
nice question.
assumption is he lives, right?
He died. He should never have come back. He was dead permanently, according to
Mm.
my book. And I know all the other stuff. We have wonderful debates around here, and my friends love to give me a hard time about it. So it's it's so great. I love that question. That's a great question, my friend.
Fair enough.
I'm trying to figure who would be in half though, a half Dark Maul.
Mm.
I don't know. You could have used to say Lou Holtz maybe, but he's retired. So uh, so Jeff is saying here, what would scare me for the rest of the SC is it feels like Georgia's played at 75% speed and still winning the games. Once they get energized to win, watch out. That I think that's a good observation. Every week it's like they come out slow, lethargic, and this time they played a motivated team on the road, and that crowd does affect things. But you know that danger of coming out of the 75% all the time is when do you run into that team that gets hot that you can't make up for it? Two games. This game was a struggle. One of the other games last year was on the road at Missouri, where they were down like 10 points in the fourth quarter with about 10 minutes left. Yet they rallied to win.
Well, I
You know,
mean, once again, this is like we're talking about a Georgia team that has won, back-to-back national titles and has restocked. So yeah, it looks different, and maybe it is one of those things where they are getting off to slow starts, but the talent and the coaching are there. So it really is going to have to take someone really punching them in the mouth to give them a scare. Right now, they are like Jeff's right; they're kind of coasting on autopilot right now.
yeah. It's and those can be good, those can be bad because there's some teams coasting on automatically turn it on, but you always worry when you get yourself set up for failure.
Right.
Uh, what if you have a game and you spiral out, you're down a lot more. This game they were down early, but they it wasn't out of reach, but they were able to come back, chip away.
I will say
And
that the difference between college football and then the pros is that for some reason in college football, even if just one bad thing after another happens, it can take just one play to kind of turn it around.
mhm.
Whereas in the NFL, unfortunately, sometimes when it starts to spiral, it spirals and you can't get out of it.
Like Denver
Oh,
and the Dolphins. Hey,
oh
Jeremy.
boy, yeah, Jeff McMahon. He's one of my best friends, and
Yes.
he's a big Broncos fan. So anytime he hears about that Miami Dolphins game, he gets Vietnam flashbacks.
Oh my gosh, I tell you what. But speaking of the Dolphins, I was at the Dan Marino's last game.
Oh, here, Jax.
Yep, yep. When I mean, Fred Taylor got that swing pass, went all the way, touchdown, 62-7. Saul Marino's last touchdown pass. I mean, that was such a tragic game to watch. And but that was a game where it just spiraled. And but I could not imagine when I saw that day. And that's when the Jaguars scored 62 in a game.
Yep.
And 70 points in an NFL game was just. We're not talking about Denver, Jeff. We're talking about Miami. So. Oh, good.
We're
Good to
2 weeks
see you,
removed from that
Jeremy.
game, and he's still getting dunked on. I feel sorry for you,
I
buddy.
know it's bad. I mean, and I just make sure I said hi for our good friend Jeremy out here. But yeah, dude, it's like it was such a stigma. How do you walk away from that? Giving up 70 points. It's one thing to get wiped out in an NFL game, but to give up 70 points, it just
I
it,
think you sometimes just chalk it up to the point in the season. It
yeah.
happened. It happened early in the season, and it wasn't a playoff game because it could.
Yep.
If it was a playoff game,
Hmm.
boy, we'd be talking about this for decades. And don't get me wrong, we're still going to talk about it for decades, but it's a
Yes.
lot different when it's a week 3 game
Well, I
versus.
tell you what. Well, what about Russell Wilson? I mean, I know we're
He's not the
talking college
problem.
tonight. Yeah, it's just like, but I mean, how could you? Some people seem to be wanting to write him off. At least where I've heard it, but that
It's the
he's
Denver defense, and Jeff will attest to that. If he wants to chime into the chat, he can give us an entire dissertation on Vance
uh,
Joseph and how bad that defense is.
oh
But
man, and
it's
that's a big change because it used to be that's what won them the Super Bowl with Manning was they had such a tough defense.
yeah. Well, I
So
mean, we're
yeah,
what 7, 8, 9 years removed from that, so
yep.
it is what it is.
Speaking speaking of tough defenses, the Georgia Bulldogs were tough again as always. They did give up 200 yards on the ground, which is not characteristic of them. And this is an Auburn team that could not run the ball against Texas A&M, but they managed to find some success against Georgia. So you just oh gosh, gotta love it,
Facts.
gotta love it. We got a college, we got a MAC conference reference. I just wish our friend JT Kirk, who's up from the Michigan area, was here to hear that one. Oh my goodness! But any other thoughts with the Georgia Auburn game? I mean, it was a battle on the plains. It was everything you would want in a good college football game. It's tied at 20 till that final drive, and so that was Brock Bowers, as Jeff said, it was like you put him on his back.
I think Georgia got that wake up call that they can't just coast.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see how they adjust. And Auburn, at least, like it's a more like I mean, I hate to use the term moral victories because there's not really that in life.
Right.
But on the other hand, it's like you do want to point out the positives even in a bad situation. And I think that
Yeah.
that's something that they can look at and be like, all right, hey, we did some good things. How can we build on this?
Actually, I think they did some very good things. They were very surprised. I'm amazed this game was even close. A couple of things came, like I said earlier, the turnovers early in the game gave them kind of a little jump start. But still, for Auburn, Auburn's got to find a quarterback can throw the football to some degree. You're not going to win in the SEC, no matter how much Billy Napier thinks. I mean, people may think in the SEC by throwing for under 100 yards, but it's just it's hard. And I know some Auburn fans. The last 2 weeks, actually, have had Auburn fans on. Uh, it's been quite interesting to hear their perspective, with
Yeah.
this with their team, and they're positive because they think with Hugh Freeze and his track record, they can get there, but it's just going to take some time. So yes, so and thank you, Wade. Good to see you too. Yeah, yep. Oh my god. I guess Colorado's odds are business to see Star Wars. Okay, wait. Oh, my friend. All right. Any other thoughts or comments on this game? I mean, we
No.
got two Georgia turnovers, which is kind of uncharacteristic for them.
I think Carson Beck is he's he's a good quarterback. Let's just be real, but I
Yeah.
also think that he's not as um, how do I phrase this the right way? I think he's a little bit more flippant with how he goes about his game than Stetson was when he was in college. So
Exactly.
we'll see.
And hello to Cortez 304. What up? Hey, good to see you tonight. Hey, Michigan. Hey, there's a Michigan avatar. Now I wish our friend JT Kirk was here. He's a Sparty guy.
Oh,
Who will be on next week's show, the next time we have a show in a couple weeks. So, yeah,
well,
well,
you
welcome.
might have some stuff to talk about. The rumor is that Urban Meyer might be in line for that MSU job.
Wow.
Yeah, personal feelings aside, that could be very interesting if that's
We're
something
gonna
they
have to
choose
have
to do.
we might have to have some special sports show just for that topic because that, I mean, oh my gosh, I oh man, see around here we chase squirrels, which means we can go off on all kinds of tangents. But I'm going to hold off on that tangent very much because oh boy, I mean, not just with his time in Jacksonville, at
Just
the NFL level,
his
it just
him as a person.
dude, I tell you what, and the guy with there's ladies in chat. The guy with the cojones to go take a job at Ohio State, then go up there and tell people recruiting, don't let your kids go to Gainesville because of the atmosphere there.
Even though he was the one that built the atmosphere there,
Exactly.
that is such a wild shit to do. But then
It's
again,
bullshit. Yes.
someone like Urban Meyer, I wouldn't put it past him to be that type of person to do something like that.
I know. Well, hey. Oh, right. Oh my gosh, Masters now. Auburn will win big time. Everything else is fake news. So, well, hey everybody, thank you. Make sure y'all smash that like button, and thank you for those that have subscribed tonight. And we got the great MC Wale with us tonight, and we're talking football. But that's an interesting. I'm going to have to talk to my to JT Kirk. I hope he drops by tonight. If he does, we'll have to bring that story up. So we're almost an hour in. We're 2 games in from last week. So we will go ahead and move on after this one. And oh God, not this one.
Let's go.
All right. Florida goes on the road and lays another egg in a road game with no offense, all predictable at the beginning, and the defense didn't bother to show up in a 33-14 thrashing by Kentucky, where they could not even stop running back who transferred from Vanderbilt, Ray Davis. This was like friggin' flat. This was like video game. This wasn't even. This is like Wade out there with his Madden game and just running rush out of the computer. 26 carries for 280 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was over 200 yards in the first half. 400 yards total offense for Kentucky. They didn't need to throw the ball. Devin Leary, the NC State transfers, 9 and 19, 69 yards with a touchdown. And here's another game that frustrates me. It's similar to the Utah game. You stem the tide. You stem the bleeding in the first half. Look at the friggin' stats. You got your quarterback 25 of 30, 244 freaking yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Yet you get 14 points the whole damn game. This game was like the Utah game. Could have been in it, could have stayed in it, but I don't know. UK outscored Florida 23-0 to start the game. Florida's first touchdown came with 34 seconds left in the first half. You can already see I'm being cued to the rant. The rants will come, but oh gosh, look. I repeat last week's opinion. Kentucky does not play football. They fried chicken. Well, this week they fried gators. So, please, you take it first, and then I will rant away after you have something to say.
Okay, so my personal philosophy when it comes to watching college football specifically, especially when it comes to Florida, is that once you lose that first game, my interest basically for the season is done. I can just watch it from like, all right, well, I can watch objectively. Let's see how the game plans are, see who's performing well, who's not performing well. And it breaks down to Florida once again just not being on cue for on their offensive side of the ball, on the defensive side of the ball, and special teams just not they are not where they should be or need to be competitive in the East. Period. Flat out. Like I just don't understand. I
How do
mean,
you have a leaping penalty? How do you have a freaking leaping penalty with
facts.
4 games in the season? And how do you do that? I mean, that's damn coaching. That's only coaching. Yeah,
Yes, it,
sorry, go ahead.
no, you're not wrong. It comes back to coaching, and then if you look at just Billy Napier's just history on the road, Buddy's 1-8 away from home in the 2 seasons that he's been in Florida, and it's only going to get worse. I
And
don't
he's
know
not been
what.
competitive except the Tennessee game. The Tennessee game on the road was the only one I can recall being somewhat competitive.
Yeah,
And even then,
and
they
if we're being
fell
real
behind
honest
Tennessee.
about that, it was
Yeah,
more of a fluke how they won that game too. It wasn't a dominant win. It wasn't
yeah,
like it wasn't like they put a cohesive game plan together there. They got
yeah,
lucky. So
yeah.
it just breaks down to Billy is trying. And don't get me wrong, like there are times where you look at a coach and you're just like he's not it. I'm not at that point with Billy Napier yet. I don't think that he's not the right coach. But what I do think is that all of that talk that we heard during training camp and during the summer about how he's getting these recruits in and all these kids are buying in and the coaching staff's really getting after it and these guys are going to be prepared to play. Well, we're just finding out that no, these guys aren't prepared to play because they're making simple mistakes and then they're not sticking to their assignments. And I'll just be flat out honest. I don't think they have playmakers on the offense, and the defensive players that they do have just aren't. They're not producing. They just simply aren't. When you're sitting here and I'm looking at, okay, you've got Graham Mertz who came from Wisconsin, who it's not a world burner, but he should be a pretty competent quarterback for your offense that you're trying to run. And your biggest playmaker is Ricky Pearsall. Then to me, you don't have enough playmakers on your squad. And someone has to emerge. Someone has to do something. And I don't know why they just insist on trying to run the ball through the middle every time. When you have Travis Etienne, who is got speed, get him outside. You've got Johnson, who has speed, get him outside. Try to mix up your play calls, figure something out because you do have a couple of pieces that can get your offensive moving if you can get them in space. I don't understand how you're not able to get these guys in space.
Because you don't want to. You're hard headed. You stick with this thing, thinking that you're like a between the tackles offense. Those running backs are not between the tackles running backs like Herschel Walker, Derrick Henry type of running backs. They're smaller. I mean, Johnson's a little bit larger than ATN, but still, like you said, get them in space. Use their strength. Get them where their speed, where they can get in the open field and shake some guys to get big plays. You know, hell, maybe even get Etienne into a slot receiver position where you have him and Johnson on the field at the same time. And this crap about having to play 3 freaking running backs is like insane because each one gets a drive. Put the damn best ball players out on the field. If a running back can play in a slot position and he's better than what you got on the roster, playing there, you know?
Yeah,
Get the guys on the field. But this damn stuff about I'm sorry, I'm passionate, and ladies and new people, I'm sorry. I'm trying to not go too heavy on the profanity with this one because this game was freaking embarrassing.
Oh yeah.
It's the same shit stuff again and again. Utah, we got 2 number 3s on the field. Well, who the hell's responsible for that? The
Yeah,
coaching.
you've got
This,
all these coaches that are supposed to be paying attention for that stuff, and
yeah,
that
and
slides. You can't have that happen. You just can't.
the leaping penalty. I thought for sure Florida had the ball. Next thing I looked at Kentucky, I had turned away for 2 minutes to get some. Next thing I know, I come back to Kentucky had run for a long touchdown run. I was like, how'd they get the ball back? Then I found out it was a leaping penalty. It's
Yeah.
like, this is the stuff that you live with. And like you said, you may not have it. I said late last year, this guy was not an SEC coach. I got in arguments with family and cousins, and I'm like, this guy sucks. You're at a school that's not necessarily like it's not in Alabama, and a lot of Gator fans think more of themselves than we really are. But you're not at like Vanderbilt or even a Kentucky or a South Carolina. You're at a high profile school that has won several national titles, that have been on the national scene for the last 30 years. You don't have time to be on the job training for some up and coming young hot guy. You need a damn coach that can do it, and with the experience. I Day one I saw a coach that was out, just did not look like he fit on that field there. I and he's not gotten better. His first game with Utah was a fine game. You could do it on all, but he had more. I thought he had more playmakers last year. This still go and watch them against Utah. If it was not for one half against Tennessee, where would this team be? You know, there's no offensive imagination. Like Jeff said, it's very linear offense, easy to gameplay. When you don't have playmakers, like you said, you can really, you dare them to throw over you. You jam the box. They can't run. So let's keep trying to run the ball early in the game because we want to run the ball. I still think the Tennessee game, Florida got lucky because they shut the offense down. The Tennessee people up there talk, because I listened to the Sports Animal out of Knoxville. They were like, well, we did all this in the second half. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, our coach shut the offense down in the second half.
Yeah.
That is not a Florida mentality. That is not a Florida Gator mentality. And I've heard other people talking about that. And there was one media writer that had talked about it on a show, was that what will get Napier in trouble is Florida fans don't mind, will deal with losing, but they don't want to lose boring. We want points. We want some entertainment,
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, all that being said, don't get me wrong. Like, I am trying to give Billy some grace here. The reason being is because I do think that he is trying to, like, there is something to be said about building a culture. I used to not be a culture guy. I don't think that it used to think that that's not really a big thing. But to be honest with you, I think when you look at how Dan Mullen ran that organization, and then you look at how McElwain ran it, it was not a good culture fit. And to get the right pieces in place, it is going to take time, and it is a process. What sucks for Napier, though, is that he's not at Louisiana State. He's not at a smaller school where you can take 3 or 4 years to really build your culture. You're at the University of Florida, buddy. You're in the SEC. You got to figure it out, and figure it out fast, because you do not have the time. You do not have the time or the luxury to just sit on your laurels and take your time.
Well,
Especially when you see teams like hell, Missouri and Vanderbilt and all of these teams that used to be basement dwellers are, at least on surface, are a little bit more competitive than you are.
Yeah, it's easier to be patient if they were not making the same coaching related mistakes, if they were not having all these false starts. Time management. This has got to be one of the worst coaches I've ever seen when it comes to 2-minute drills, clock management at end of halves or games dating back into last season. That's the biggest part of my frustration with him, and I think he's overmatched tonight. It's just not. There's too many mistakes he's making in game. You can't keep blaming everything on culture. You can't keep blaming on the right atmosphere when you put 2 number 3s on the field, when the guys are not prepped and ready for the game plans and stuff, when the guys don't know what to not do on a special team thing, when you're insisting on running the ball in the middle in the first half till you're 20 points down, and then doing something different, those are the on the field mistakes that I'm seeing that did not see Josh Heupel or Kirby Smart doing the second years at Tennessee and Georgia.
Right.
And they progressed. They had a bouncy first year, not as rough as Florida's was, but second year you saw improvement. I see no improvement this year, except for one half against Tennessee. That's been it.
They have to get back in this. This sucks because we're Florida fans and we want to see them be better. They have to go back to basics. You have to get the basic foundations and the basic groundwork drilled into those players' heads.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to know, all right, these are the consequences of my actions. If I line up offsides, or if I do this, or if I do that, there's consequences to that. And
Mm-hmm.
once you've got that base maintained and built up, then you can start to stack up and try and build on top of it. Unfortunately, you can't do that like in the middle of the season. So
Yep.
you just
Nope.
have to try and limit the amount of problems and mistakes that you have as you go throughout the year. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's looking bleak. That being said, though, like obviously with Florida having 2 losses already, you can already kiss goodbye to a college playoff berth, and you can probably kiss goodbye an opportunity to the SEC title game. So at this point now, you can really just change your perspective and focus on, all right, what can we do to improve this team now that like going for championships is out of the question.
Yep. Exactly. So I and I'd look at it as bleak in the future because you're now chasing uh, not only Georgia, you're chasing Tennessee, and now if Kentucky, the one problem Kentucky had last year was quarterback and offense, and if Kentucky can ever become more of an offensive school, there'll be 3 teams you're competing with. You
I'm
know,
I'm never gonna be concerned about Kentucky until they
no,
actually prove
possibly,
it.
but the problem is that Gator fans. I'm used to the 31-year winning streak.
Oh yeah,
Now we've lost 3 in a row to Kentucky.
facts. That's true.
And
That's
it's
very
like
true.
that should not happen. And you said something about culture, and I'm kind of let's talk about that just a second. And we'll bring in another state of Florida, and you'll probably laugh when you. I think you probably know where I'm talking about. Some guy that used to play in Tallahassee that took over a job in Colorado. My friend Wade out there, Coach Prime, who basically ran off almost an entire roster of players and brought in everybody off the street. That was definitely a unique thing to see. But we can debate the wisdom and things like that of that. But one of the points that he made with this whole thing with culture, because I've had this argument with family members that are be patient and all this stuff, is like his attitude was basically like when people were asking him about culture and what he did and how does that set a culture, and he's like, he didn't care about culture. He wanted players that wanted to win. They got there that were going to work their butts off to win. If you weren't going to dedicate, no, you're gone. If you didn't want to do what they said, you're gone. And now I think there's been some other accusations about kind of false promises and stuff too. But just for the purpose of this debate is about the thing of culture. One of the points he made was some of the best teams he ever played, they had the lousiest culture. You'd have players at each other's throats fighting. The quarterback hated the receivers, but when it came to game day, they were on the same page and they were all over the place. Yeah, that's the only thing I have with the culture argument is I don't think it has to be that way. I don't think you have to accept losing for 3 years. Like, especially if any Jaguar fan knows the 3-year program has been tried 5 times and it becomes 20 years at some point. Let me say hello real quick to Destiny Kennerson. Hey, welcome. Welcome. Good to see you now. Hey, appreciate you being here tonight. And everybody smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't. So are you familiar with comments that he made on that
I,
recently?
I am, but my thing is that Prime and not Prime, but I'm just saying Deion Sanders, Coach Sanders is coming.
I agree. I don't
Let
know
me
if I can
refer
deal
to
with
him
the
by
prime
his
thing. Yeah.
let me
Real
refer to
name.
him as his real name. Yeah, Coach Sanders is also coming from an NFL mindset. In the NFL, you're consummate professionals, so it does like a culture in the NFL, it really isn't nearly as serious. Reason being is because everybody's being paid and everybody wants to win. So you don't have to like each other in a locker room in a professional setting. Consider it like when you go to work. You've got coworkers that you don't like flat out. But when push comes to shove, you're there to do a job and you're going to do your job to your best of your ability.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always matter if the culture is good or bad. You can make the best of a bad situation as long as you're getting paid. It's a lot different in college.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you've got the NIL, you've got the opportunities for these kids to make money, you still have to they've not been in the real world enough where they've been beaten down, where their focus is just simply on whether it's just making money or getting paid or being able to do the things that they want to do. Now they're in college, they still have to kind of follow the rules and do the right things
Right.
to get to their end goal. So you still do have to have a culture, at least built. You have to have a semblance of a culture where these players know what's expected of them, but they also feel that they've fostered a bit of a community around each other so that they can pick each other up and
Yeah.
have that camaraderie.
Yeah.
It's I can see Coach Sanders' point by saying a call like what he's saying basically is like, I don't need a culture of like, beanbags and massage chairs for my players. We want to build a culture of winning. That's
Mhm.
what he's basically saying. He's just not saying it in that manner.
Right. Right. All right. Well, hey, I that's partial of a rampage. I can go even crazier, but I appreciate talking about Gators. It's not often I get really to unleash a little bit, but it's always good to be measured too. And there's two sides of the story, and you ultimately as a Gator fan, you do want Napier to succeed because it does not as anything as NFL fans like you, whether you're Detroit or Jacksonville, uh, you know, teams that have been in the basement for so long, one rebuild to the next, just firing the guy moving on to the next one does not always bring results, you know.
Yeah.
And but I just there's the intangibles from what I've seen, the type of thing of what I've seen. He's there's still it's the coaching stuff. I know the talent's not there, and may take some time with that, but what I see is the mistakes in game on the field, and they don't seem to be getting better. The things that truly come down to coaching, and you would think uh, that would be getting better, but it does not seem like it. It seems to be uh, Jeff. No, Jeff, we're not going to consider Denver long suffering. You guys tried being in Jacksonville for a while, Jacksonville or Detroit. So, but anyway, any last thoughts with Florida and Kentucky? I thank you for letting me rampage a little bit about
No,
that.
not at all, man. I just think that this should be one of those games where Florida really steps back and it's like, oh wait, we definitely have some issues. We've got some problems, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully they can pinpoint and start to build on how to correct them.
Right. And I one of the things I think he's got to get realized he's going to have to throw the ball a bit more in the SEC, at least with this roster.
Yeah.
You can't keep coming out the gate thinking you're going to run over everybody.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
you could do that if you've built your offense up to do that. Their
no,
offense is set up to do that. So
no,
it's kind of like hitting your head on on a rock, thinking that it's going to move. Also, Jeff, yes, you were a much different person the last time they were in the playoffs. You were technically a high school student when they were last in the
oh,
playoffs.
oh, that's too funny. That's too funny. All I
That's actually
remember,
not accurate, but it's just a joke. I'm just
well,
thinking
all
of Deb.
that's cool. All I remember is about with Denver is I was at 1996, the midnight late night flight coming in and the plane coming going over the stadium, and then have that big pep rally, uh,
Nice.
uh, celebrating the knocking off of Elway and the Denver Broncos. After Woody Page called them the Jaguars, so
Oh, oh, Woody Page.
yeah, Woody Page. Well, we'll put this game to rest. Good win for Kentucky. We'll talk more about them coming up. This was the barn burner of the week, folks.
Best game of the week.
This is a game that I had on, but I was going to watch more of the Tennessee South Carolina game. But this game took the show because it was like talk about video game football. 55-49, not an overtime score. Uh Looked like it could have headed for overtime at one point, but oh my goodness, 55 first downs between the two teams, almost 1,400 yards of total offense, balanced time of possession, a lot of you had passing, you had rushing. Jackson Dart for Ole Miss, even though he has struggled the previous week at Alabama, finished this game 26 of 39, 389 yards, 4 touchdown passes, ran the ball 7 times for 50 yards and a touchdown. Jaden Daniels, LSU's quarterback, 27 of 36, 414 yards with 4 touchdowns also. What is neat with this one is that, let me say hello. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. Yeah. Best two QBs in the SEC, not really close. Yep. And hello to I'll call you Abin. Hey, Abin, good to see you tonight. Thanks for being here. Appreciate that. All you new people, thank you for coming by tonight. And like on the scroll at the bottom. Hey, make sure you leave a like and follow here on the YouTube side. Follow us on Twitch. Your subscriptions are appreciated. We're on a move for 500, and we are trucking along. And we have the great Wale with us tonight. Uh, a lot of times you see each team maybe have a receiver with over 100 yards. You might see one with over two players with over 100 yards. This game had both teams that had two players each with over 100 yards receiving. Thomas for LSU for 124 yards and 3 touchdowns. Malik Neighbors had 102 yards for LSU. And for Ole Miss, Trey Harris had 153 yards receiving with a touchdown, and Watkins 130 yards and a touchdown. The stats on this thing were just amazing. What were your thoughts watching this game?
I mean, I was flipping it back and forth because I was watching it. I was watching the game while kind of prepping dinner one night, so I'm going back and forth, back and forth. But basically, it's like if you love offense, it's the greatest game. It is one of the best games of the year. If you're a defensive coordinator, you are crying and wondering what did you do to deserve this level of hell to get just these two juggernauts of teams battling back and forth. Like there was no defense. It was just like running practice out there. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I expected a kind of a shootout with this game, but I don't think I was prepared for this. Not in
They were
regulation.
trading blows, literally back
This
forth, back forth, back and forth. It was
good
wild.
analogy, like prize fighters. You know,
And
like
keep
prize
in mind
fighters. This is
that
a
the
good
Old Miss,
boxing
yeah, and
match.
keep in mind that Old Miss was up 21-7 at the end of the first. So the first you're thinking like, oh, this is not looking great for LSU. And then LSU comes off and rattles off 21 and then makes it a game. So it was a lot of fun. You still don't really know what both of these teams are going to be like moving forward, but at least you could say that LSU's offense, when it clicks, it clicks. And then obviously you expect Ole Miss to just be good. And I think Jackson Dart, he's got Jackson Dart is very good. He's a very
Mm-hmm.
good quarterback for Ole Miss, and I think that that's something that they've needed for a long time. So hopefully he finishes this year out strong. And I mean, he's a junior, so it's one of those things where he has to look at his future. If his draft grade is going to be first or second round, maybe he goes, but he might benefit. He would definitely benefit from staying an extra year.
Exactly. Well, let me say real quick. Good night to Snortopupus Cubur. Good night. Go hibernate, and we will see you the next time, sir. Good to see you tonight with us. Yeah, I've seen Ole Miss have put up some big numbers against some smaller teams, and Trey Harris and the receivers. But this is the first time that to see a Lane Kiffin coach team actually show up against one of the I guess, better teams in the West: LSU, Alabama, Texas A&M. Because I had picked LSU in this game because I got burned by Ole Miss going to Alabama. They looked like that they were on a roll. They were moving the ball offensively, but then they ran into that Bama defense. So I kind of wanted to see Lane Kiffin win one of these games, and I did say his name by like Dan and Jeff say sometimes by accident. But
Hard
yeah,
habits are hard to break.
I know. It's like what some people around here on this radio call him Lane Kitten, and it's like, but yeah, it's but so because he couldn't win these games, and now finally they did. Although LSU came very close to tying, if not winning the game, right at the end, just a little more time, they might have had a chance, but. Definitely go one that's always good to go back and watch later if you want to, for
Oh
sure,
yeah,
in replays.
absolutely.
So
And Malik Neighbors is going to be a problem on the next level.
mm-hmm.
Can't wait to
Yeah,
see it.
every week doing these with these stats and all. His name is always popping up in the receptions in the receiving categories. This week he didn't have any touchdowns, but the yardage he's catching the ball at is just you know incredible. And look at the numbers. See, it's teams like this that get me frustrated as a Gator fan. Is that you look at like LSU, you look at Ole Miss, and you look at what they're doing and putting up numbers, and we're supposed to be whatever our offense is. So that's kind of the because we've been spoiled with the Urban Meyer offenses, the Steve Spurrier offenses, and now we have something different. But anyway, any other thoughts with this game, LSU Ole Miss? I mean, it just was a heck of a track meet to watch for these two teams, and it was a cleanly played game. Only one turnover in the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously don't have much more to add outside of it just being a fun game. Jeff McMahon in the chat, won't you be my neighbors from quote unquote Mr. Rogers? That's a great potential
That's
fantasy
good.
football name. That's solid.
Oh, that's cool. So, all right. Well, we'll go ahead and move on because this was a heck of a game. It did not disappoint. This game went pretty much expected. We don't have to spend a lot of time. I mean, Alabama goes back on the road to knock off Mississippi State in Starkville. Cowbells did not help them this time, but Alabama, 350 yards of offense. Actually, 164 yards passing. Mississippi State back to running before, I guess, more rushing than the air raid offense is ending. Although last week against South Carolina, they put up like 500 yards in the air. But for Alabama, it looks like they finally still stabilized the quarterback position. Jalen Monroe's back as starter, 10 of 12 for 164 yards, 11 carries, 2 on the ground, 69 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jace McClellan for Alabama, the running back, 15 carries for 63 yards with a touchdown, while Will Rogers for Mississippi State, 15 of 27, 107 yards, completely the opposite of what happened last week. Had 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. So, Will Reichard for Alabama, 4-4 on extra points, 4-4 on field goals, and as long as at 48 yards. So, just a standard Alabama win. Again, Mississippi State was a team that is more of a veteran team, but you don't know what they are this year because
they're a veteran team with barely any playmakers, so they're Mississippi State. Next, what else do you talk about?
Yeah, it's Starkville, Mississippi.
Yeah,
beautiful state to visit, though, folks. If you drive through it, so go back if you're new to our channel. Take a look. I got to work on our playlist, but go back and look at some of our detours with the Dadmans. The missus and I, Wale, we just got back a couple months ago. We went to Yellowstone. We put 6,000 miles on the cart in about 150 hours, and we did a lot of drive streams throughout the country and a lot of pretty spots around the country. So that's one of the things that y'all can, if you get used to the channel, hang out, look at some of the other stuff we've done. The missus and I love to talk while we're on the road. I tell you what, we had some 10 and 11 hour drive days though.
Whew.
Streaming really helped pass some time.
I bet, really, man. So you guys are road trippers. You're definitely pack up the car, hop in, let's ride out.
I would like to. We're kind of talking about it. We'd love to. We've never gotten to that point yet, but with the ability to stream and something to do, we might. I don't know if I can get her to quit doing house projects. Maybe we can do it. So, or maybe if I help her
do this, out on blast like that, man. She's gonna have you working on the Wells projects too, bro.
Well, I will if we'll hit the road. I'll get on those work projects. Hey,
y'all are better than me, man. Road trips wear me out. I know that they're necessary, but I basically have an 8-hour rule. If I can't drive there within 8 hours, I'm hopping a flight.
Well, this was with a family type thing, and really it was one that was really better to do as a drive. We saw places you would never see. Things. What we did is we probably needed more time. Excuse me. We needed more time to cut down the drives. See, we probably could have stayed another week and stayed a couple of days in a couple places. There's a place up in Du Bois, and they said it's Du Bois, Wyoming. Nana's Bakery and Bowling. It was it was a bakery diner and had bowling, and they had a sit down Miss Pac-Man machine. So
So I'm gonna ask this question then. What was the best thing at that bakery slash bowling joint? Because you can't merge those two together and not have something that's absolutely delicious.
oh, in terms of the best thing to me was the Miss Pac-Man machine, but I did not dare play it because we had to drive another 8 hours to Denver that night. That just was so frustrating. But oh, the apple fritter I had was just, oh man,
Apple fritter. All right,
yeah,
noted.
oh gosh, was incredible. So we had that and just a lot of good. But I tell you, do you ever get up to Memphis, Tennessee?
I've not been, but it is on my list of places that I have to go visit soon.
If you
So
get there, you've got to hit Uncle Lou's fried chicken up there.
Uncle Lou's fried chicken. All right.
Yes, it was on Diners, Dives, and Drives, and that thing, and it did not fail.
All
There was
right.
one of the things on our trip we were going to do it, but then some of the family the day before were like, "Well, we don't want to eat that much and go." And so basically, the missus had my back, said, "Dad, man's going. Y'all go on if you want to, but we're going." So
Fair enough.
we
Oh,
actually hit it twice on the trip, though.
nice.
We
Oh,
did
then
a
it was
figure eight
really
coming
good
back.
then.
Yeah, we actually came back through Memphis on the return trip, and by blind luck, and hey, we were right there. So hey,
All right, quick one last thing about road trip. What's
okay.
your go-to road trip snack? And if you're in the chat, tell us what your go-to road trip snack is.
Exactly. Yeah, put that out there, chat. Hey, play around with us a little bit. Well, I know what mine is, and the missus is still lurking. I know she's doing stuff too, but mine became our breakfast up in Yellowstone. You know those donut things, the little bag of donuts,
Yeah,
not the powdery ones, not the chocolate waxy ones, but those coconutty crispy
the
ones,
crunch ones.
the crunch
Yes,
ones. Yes,
yes.
yes. I'm gonna get a bag and take them to work and make somebody I know eat some of them. You know, he tries to be all healthy and stuff, but it's like, yeah, you're gonna eat some bad stuff with me.
They're a
So,
weakness for a certain person. I am aware.
oh well, I love them. It's a kryptonite. It's a good kind of kryptonite, but all
That's a
right,
solid go-to. I'm a gummy bear. I'm a gummy bears
gummy
guy.
bear.
So
All
yeah,
right, well, hey, see, I like salty when I'm on the road. You know, I like something salty or something even sweet. It just, I just there. Get a good old big bag of chips. What was funny, the missus I actually took a bag of Lay's chips and was showing them at a Lay's truck driver. She got him to honk at us, so that was good. So yeah, folks, feel free. Tell us what your favorite roadside snack, your road trip snack is. Mine is the crunch. Yours is the gummy bears. So, and
yeah.
we'll go ahead and move on. There's really not a lot in this game. It was pretty much a standard one-sided affair. Got to the game that I thought would be a better game than when it turned out was the Volunteers win 41-20 against South Carolina up at Rocky Top. More than double the first downs compared to South Carolina. For nearly 500 yards of offense for Tennessee. Joe Milton throws 2 picks in this game, though. He threw his first as a Tennessee quarterback a few weeks ago against Florida, but threw his 2 in this game after going like 200 passes at Tennessee without throwing a pick. He finished 21 of 32 for 239 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, ran the ball twice for 4 yards. Jalen Wright for Tennessee had 16 carries, 123 yards, and a touchdown. Squirrel White, who's like kind of an icon around here, starting last year. You gotta love a guy with the name Squirrel, you know.
It's a football Hall of Fame name for sure.
Exactly. Well, he had 9 catches for 104 yards. Spencer Rattler in a losing effort for South Carolina was 24-35 for 169 yards and an interception. Had 11 carries for 19 yards and a touchdown on the ground. So.
So when is Spencer Rattler gonna realize that he's not an actual quarterback?
As soon as people like the people in Tennessee keep saying that he is a real quarterback, because I like I said, I listen to that station up there, and there was all this respect for him, and he was dangerous and all this other stuff. Well, you look, he, yeah, they got a lead on Georgia. They pushed Georgia a little bit, but like last year when they went to the swamp, South Carolina threw one touchdown pass, and it was the punters that threw it.
Yeah, I understand that he's had a bit of a rough go, but he's not particularly good at almost anything. So I you definitely ride out the season with him, but
Yeah,
yeah, South Carolina is not gonna be anything with the Rattler at
no.
at the helm.
And Hell Disney Sheep Herder, good to see you tonight. Thanks for coming by. Smash that like button. Yeah, everybody, if you haven't, make sure you do smash the like button. I forget a lot myself. So, but hey, so hit that, subscribe if you haven't. Thank you. We got the great MC Wale with us tonight. See, Rattler's one of those guys. He's had really high highs,
But the
and
lows
and a
are
lot
low,
lows
buddy.
are low. But and he's got a lot of meh. A lot of meh. I mean, he's 24-35, but look, he only throws for 169 yards.
Which means it was a lot of dump off passes.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a rule of thumb as I want to see my quarterback with at least 10 yards of completion. I know that like a lot of stats are measured on 10 yards, or yards per attempt, but I like to see the yards per completion because then that tells you whether they're just dump off safety screens or if they're really attacking downfield going vertical.
Yeah. Or at least or if the number is low, at least it's one of those things where it's like he's picking and choosing the spots because there's nothing like you don't want your quarterback out here just chucking it all downfield all the time if the people aren't open. You want them to be smart about it, but then again, it's like if you're just constantly getting beat up front and you're dumping it off for 2, 4, 3, 4, like yeah, it adds up, but it helps your stat line look all right because you're making easy completions, but you're not really doing anything.
Yeah. Give me a 50% quarterback that's averaging 20 yards of completion.
Facts.
You got some big plays there. So, well, I tell you what, I always say, because I've always engaged in the Tebow debate with a lot of people, and it's like, I mean, you look at Terry Bradshaw, he's like one of the worst quarterbacks looking at the way he played and threw. His statistics were horrible, but he won in the Super Bowl.
I mean, look, yeah, sometimes it's just one of those things where stat wise and even visually it doesn't work. But if you're getting wins, sometimes most of the time, that will outweigh actual performance.
Exactly. All right, well, let's move on from this game. I think this is the last game we have from last week. Missouri goes on the road, wins at Vanderbilt, and again, almost double the offense for Missouri, 38-21 over Vanderbilt, 28-15 of first downs. 530 yards by Missouri. Missouri may be legitimate now. They've been consistent from week to week. The closest call was against Middle Tennessee for being upset. Vanderbilt runs only for 41 yards. Ken Seals actually played for Vandy this time. No H.A. Swan. Ken Seals was 20-31 for 259 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Will Shepard for Vanderbilt in a losing effort had 5 catches for 98 yards and a touchdown. But Brady Cook 33 of 41, 395 yards, 4 touchdowns. Look at this, another quarterback with 4 touchdown passes in the game. He ran the ball 6 times, 6 yards. Missouri had 2 players with 100-plus receiving yards. Luther Burden, the third, 11 catches for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Theo Weiss, 10 catches for 118 yards, touchdown. I never thought I'd live to see the day that Missouri would have more of a Florida Gator type offense than the Florida Gators.
I mean, they've been putting something together there for a while, but it's still Missouri, so it's one of those things where I'm like, how much attention am I going to pay to them really?
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Florida Florida has struggled with them even in the good Florida years under Mullen. Florida's always struggled with Missouri. I never liked Missouri being added to the conference either.
I get it. I liked them being added to the conference because I thought it was weird enough for it to make sense. But also, it's just one of those things where out of sight, out of mind kind of thing.
Yep.
Like I don't really think about Missouri all that much. Like good, I'm glad they're 5-0 and they're finding some success, but unless you find yourself in the SEC title game, I probably won't think of it. I won't
No.
think of Missouri the rest
And
of
we
the
got
season.
Vanderbilt that's in sight, just overlooked. So,
Yeah,
oh,
we better
so
not lose to Vandy, bro. I will be sick.
we did last year.
I know, and I was sick.
I know, but hey, all right. Well, we'll go get. Well, if they lose again this week, we'll have to eat 3 bags of Crunch donuts together. All right. Well, hey, that I think concludes last week's action. Um, Currently, now with looking at the standings as they reside in the SEC, uh, Georgia's of course top of the East. Kentucky's moved up because of the win over Florida. Missouri beating Vanderbilt, so still only one. You got the middle of Florida, Tennessee, and South Carolina, and of course Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt probably is condemned to losing out unless they win this week. But at least the game is in Gainesville this time. So
Right.
probably a nasty 12 o'clock kickoff, I bet you. But that's the only problem with Florida being so blah is then you get these early kickoffs.
Yeah, but
Uh,
like honestly, get these kind of gross games out the way so you can enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Like,
there you
don't get me wrong, like
Yeah,
taking it to the NFL, like I'm not mad that Jax plays in London twice this week because you know why? If they win, cool, my Sunday gets off to a great start. But if they lose, you know what? Hey, we got this loss out of the way, and it's only 1 o'clock. I still have the rest of my Sunday.
uh, boy, you sure do get philosophical. You weren't kidding about that. So after that first loss, yeah, I got that's very interesting. Very interesting. You say that. Over in the West, we have Alabama and A&M up on top. LSU follows behind at 2-1 in the West, and Ole Miss, and then of course the winless teams: Auburn, Arkansas, and Mississippi State.
Oof.
Yeah, it's bad. And I tell you, of the three, Arkansas has to be the biggest disappointment again
Yeah.
for where they are because they're a team that supposedly had talent on paper that you would think would be at least up in the middle of the pack, but already 0-2, and um, still a lot of tough games to come. So,
Well, that's part of the problem with being such a good team on paper, man. You have to actually go out and execute it.
yep, that you do. That you do. So, all right. Well, listen, let's take a look. So, you know, we've talked a little bit about your background, how you got into being the hype man, doing all you do. But what got you started into football? I mean, what was it about football that got your interest?
So,
Oh, one second. Jeff said he's heading out, but going to leave you with one thing: go Irish.
he's a Notre Dame fan. Yep.
Uh, Take care, Jeff. Thanks for coming by. And folks, for all you new people too, make sure you keep up track with us, get the notifications because we do a lot more than just football and sports. We do a lot of different gaming type stuff and a lot of chill chats, different things. And like I said, we're going to be looking at Battlestar Galactica one night, 2 weeks from tonight. So, but MC, what got you into football? Is there anything specific that attracted you to it?
So I grew up in Atlanta. I lived in Georgia for the first 12 years of my life, and believe it or not, my best friend at the time was a big Florida State fan. And so obviously during Saturdays and stuff like that, we'd watch games and I'd be over at his house and stuff like that, and they'd watch Florida State games. So me being the rambunctious, rebel that I like to be, I chose that. I was like, well, you know what? If you're going to be a Florida State fan, then I'm going to be a Florida fan because we need to have some sort of rivalry. And so
Right.
that's kind of how I became a Florida fan. And then obviously when we moved to Jacksonville in 1999, like right at like August of 99. So Jags were super hot, 12 the 14-2 season. I was in junior
With
high
three
school
losses to Tennessee
with
that year,
all those
though.
losses to Tennessee that year. But obviously, like being like that was the thing at like my junior high school. Everybody was loving football, so I started to get into the sport and started watching games and stuff like that. So always been like a casual fan, but I probably didn't get into being like as in depth and like understanding the game and being super into it until probably my senior year in high school, which is around 2004, 2005. And then once I got into college, obviously I was following games and trying to go to as many like Jags and Gator games as I could. And then obviously I wanted to work in sports, so I got even more invested with it. And then once I kind of got my break in sports, and then shifted career paths a little bit, but I've still just kept up with my love for it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not as much on the recruiting side and all of that stuff on the college end, but I mean, I definitely like watch it like almost like an analyst, like a commentator, because I like seeing how plays are formed. Like I like seeing formations. I like seeing how individual players, how they attack certain schemes, different things like that. And then definitely in the pro game, I focus a lot in like the front office moves, salary cap, all of that stuff.
Wow. That's some unique interest because that stuff is very tricky and a lot of rules with about what's in the cap, what's under the cap, deferred money, dead money,
Yeah,
all kinds
like
of crazy stuff.
which is crazy. If you're a sports fan and you're an accountant, that should be your primary introduction into maybe sports, because or at least football, because if you like numbers, learning about how these contracts work and how the deferred bonuses and all of that stuff plays out adds an element of intrigue
Mm-hmm.
to then paying attention to why these guys get paid as much as they do or as little as they do, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So it's it is definitely a thing. You can you get lost in that stuff. But I tell you what, I'm an accountant though that would rather not get into that stuff. That that's like I got to deal with enough dorks and stuff all that already as it is. It's like I want fun. Let me have the hard hitting action and stuff like that. So
Fair enough.
not the bean counting. I'll leave that for the other people.
Yeah, fair enough.
Exactly. But it is. That stuff is tricky and you do need the accountants. You do need the people that can read the contracts and
Oh yeah.
get all that stuff. I mean, it is a science. It is not something to just not that just anybody can do. It, it's definitely a good it is definitely a good field to be in, I mean,
Yeah, like
people can make some definitely
under
good money.
yeah, absolutely. Understanding how like deferred cap and how money can be rolled over, and then dead cap money if a player's released or if they're cut, or the difference if they're cut between this time or if they're traded. If you make the regular season roster, your salary is guaranteed. But if you're a free agent that wasn't on a roster at week one and then you get signed week two, your contract's not guaranteed, and how much money, like all of that stuff, it gets very in the weeds, but it's interesting. So,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously, there's a lot of information you can find out about most of these contracts and stuff too. So, it can be a little overwhelming, but it's cool.
Absolutely. So yeah, I always I like my accounting, but I also like my football action. So I do enough reading during the week. The last thing I want to do is reading on the weekend. So,
Fair enough.
but then again, at least what I can do is I can give it to other people to read for me at work. Tell me, hey, read this for me. Tell me what it says. Part of being the old guy, but hey, it's all good. Are there any now? A lot of times when I ask this question, it's more from the point of whatever the guest is relative to, whether they're more NFL or if they're more college. And you do all kind. I mean, you've had arena football, NFL, college, I say. But is there trying to because I think you had some experiences could go a while. But what is your favorite sports or in football memory? Like at a live game, what's your favorite memory
Of
of a
me,
game?
like me working or me like
You
just
watching, no,
experiencing.
just as a fan, the experience, the what
Ooh, man.
you could have been working, but just the when you're there watching the game, probably like the greatest game you've ever seen. And I also followed up with, is there a particular memory? You could have a memory that sticks with you, but it's a different game. But then there could be that one game that just
All right, yeah, okay. So I will give you three different memories that I have. So
okay.
two will be positive, one not so positive. The first, and this one sticks out in my mind forever, is the Jags Steelers 2007, the playoff game, the David Garrard run, where
Oh yeah.
he runs for 32 yards, sets up the field goal, and they end up beating the Steelers twice that season. I remember being at my friend Brent and Brandon Boffman's house. They lived in Fleming Island. They've definitely dissipated across the city now, but we were there to watch the game,
Mm-hmm.
and it was probably like 10 or 11 of us. It was a watch party, but I remember it so vividly, just being fourth down, and we're sitting there like we're all in our Jag stuff, and we're just like we don't know what's going to happen here, and we see him drop back, and we're like, okay, he's looking around, he's not open, and then he just takes off, and when he takes off, and we know that he gets the first down, we're excited, but then he's still on his feet, he's still running, so we're like, oh my goodness, like
Mm-hmm.
this is fantastic. He obviously he gets 32 yards, gets the field goal, and we go on to take on the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. And but I just remember being like that moment really locked in to me about how fun and how important sports can be to a person and to your community and to your friendships and all of that stuff. So that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, being in the stands for the Jags Buffalo Bills playoff game back in 2017,
Mm-hmm.
where Jalen gets that interception and closes the game out. Obviously, huge win. Everybody's excited. I had been a season ticket holder for probably like 5 or 6 years at that point, and had seen nothing but losses,
Oh yeah.
just upset and just not fun games. So being
Because
able
that
to
was like a 12, wasn't it like a 12-10 game? It was
it
like
was
really,
12 to, it's like 12-10, like it might have been
yeah.
like 12-3, 12-10,
Okay.
something small, like really low scoring game.
Yeah.
But I just remember being in the stands for that game and just being super pumped up and just finally 10-3. It was 10-3. But it was
Mm-hmm.
just one of those things where I was just like, wow, we really are here. We finally are at this point where we've got a team we can be proud of. Like it was an incredible memory. And then the memory that's not so great was it's also the Jags, but
Yeah.
Jaguars Bears 2012, I want to say.
Oh wow. Okay.
It was the game where we got absolutely throttled, like 42-3 or something like that. But I
Mm.
remember going to that game all excited and hyped up. It was my probably second year as being a season ticket holder. Was happy about like all of the new changes that were coming in and everything. And I just remember the game being like, I think it was like 7-3 going into halftime, and being like, okay, hey, we have a shot at like coming out at the half and making this making this a game. And then when we were talking about like absolute collapses,
Mm-hmm.
it was an absolute, yeah, 41-3. How do you go into halves down 7-3 and then just get completely, no, it's tied 3-3 going into half, and then we just got the doors blown off. And I remember after the second pick six that happened, I remember that it just started raining,
Oh
and
jeez.
I sat there in the rain in my jersey watching the rest of this game because I didn't leave games at the time. Like I would stay till the final whistle.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, like, it is like that moment like in a movie where you hit rock bottom and then all of a sudden it starts to rain and you're just kind of trudging through and the rain is hiding your tears kind of situation.
Yes.
But I
Yeah.
remember that game being just I remember being there and just being miserable about how
Yeah.
that game went down. And it's a memory that lives with me. Obviously it wasn't great, but like
Yeah.
I can laugh about it now, but at the time, man, my heart was broken.
I know it was, especially with that team. A little bit of success. Let me. Is it raining? Sounds like we got rain tonight. But hey, good night, Masters Maniac Mexico. Good to see you, my friend. I hope you have a good night's rest. Thank you for being here. And hello to Hungry Boy. This guy is my sidekick. He from Australia. It could be 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, you want to stream? I get like, yeah, sure, let's stream.
Nice.
Good to see you, Hungry. Glad you're here, and good luck. I hope the painting went well for you. So, oh man, so good to see you tonight, my friend. We got 10 of y'all still watching us right now with the great MC Wale with us tonight, and we're going to move into the back part of the show now. We're going to take a look at the top 25 in both the AP and the coaches polls. We're going to take a look at that. Then we're going to move into this week's matchups and then end up with our picks. Basically, really not a lot of changes in the top 25 this week. A lot of the top 10 positions are relatively the same. There's currently 7 teams from the SEC in the top 25 in the AP poll. Most of them back in it from Ole Miss 16 down to LSU at 23, but Georgia's still number 1, although it's hold on first place has weakened a little bit, and Alabama at number 11. Any thoughts with this? Where the standings so far?
I mean, it sounds about right. I figure Kentucky might have moved up one or two, but I mean, I'm not surprised that they're still at 20. Ole Miss moving up 4 spots is pretty solid for them, and then everyone else just kind of standing pat. That's kind of what you would expect after seeing what happened now last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We Hungry also, by the way, says that you have a great voice.
Oh, thank you, much appreciated.
Yeah, he's got a good voice himself, and yes, exactly. But MC Wale, our guest, Hungry, actually does a lot of field voice work. He's the man out in front, getting everybody piped up and pumped up in a game, and the promos and stuff. So yeah, he's got a heck of a voice that's publicly familiar with around town, and very very exciting when you always see the guy in action. So you do a fine job always, MC.
Oh, it's appreciated, man. Thank you so much.
You ought to have him take your brother to work day once.
Oh man, as much as I would love to have him do that, I
Yeah,
don't know how well that would go over. Either he would panic, or maybe it unlocks something. And he's better than me at it. I don't know.
I
I
think
think
I think he would step up because he's got a dry wit at times. He can surprise you. You never
oh,
know.
he's very funny.
Oh my gosh! Oh hey, Hungry said. By the way, you dig it. You need you to do voiceovers with the XLR microphones.
Hey, holla at me, man. We can talk about it. Let's do it.
By the way, Yemi said no. Oh come on, Yemi. Yeah, he reminded me of like Murr from the Impractical Jokers.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like just mannerisms and stuff. Yeah, Yemi, it'll be a character. You'll be fine. So we'll look at the coaches poll here. Another still 7 SEC teams. Again, Georgia number 1, Alabama number 10, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, LSU from 15 down to 23, generally in the same areas. Uh, a lot of the same teams in the same positions roughly in both polls. Not really much difference between the two. Beavers, Oregon State's back up to 16th after upsetting Utah. What are your thoughts with the coaches poll?
Yeah, coaches poll still basically looks about what you would expect. Honestly, I think Duke probably shouldn't have slid down 5 spots because they put up a heck of a game against Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. And
Like,
lost their quarterback in the game too.
yeah, so but I mean, only being down 5 is not bad, but the rest of the poll looks pretty standard.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've let's see. All right. So now we're going to take a look into this week's action in the SEC. So, folks, we've got 10 people here watching us. And I will say, well, again, always, help us fight that algorithm. Make sure you hit that like button, sub to the channel. And thank you for being here tonight. All the new faces, it's so good to see you guys. And the familiar faces, good to see you guys too. Um, we should be winding up shortly coming up, but we'll see. Well, let's go through this back half and we will see what we think is going to happen this week. So, with that, we will run into this week's matchups looking at them. Uh, First on the list is Vanderbilt at Florida. I mean, what a. Oh, do you have a YouTube?
Yeah.
You don't have a? Do you do YouTube? Do you have a channel?
so I have So I technically have two channels. I have one that has some sample work of like my hosting stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
then the other YouTube channel that I have is the scratch off channel that
Mm-hmm.
me and my buddy run. And what I can do is, if you guys
Yeah,
want, I will drop those in the chat. So
yeah.
yeah,
You
I
can
can
either
post
drop it
those.
in. Well, I don't know. You may not have the authority. If you put in a private chat, I'll get it copied over there.
Yeah, so
So yeah,
I'll share the channels in the
yeah.
private
If
chat, and you can post
yeah,
them out.
put it here in the private chat, and then I can put it out there for you. But absolutely. So Hungry's asking that. He always likes to see you know people's channels and so, and he's saying please do. So hey, Vanderbilt at Florida, folks. This is one of those games I really don't give a crap about because of losing last week to Kentucky. It's one of those things that it's like we should. It's like playing McNeese State or Charlotte. You know,
Yeah.
we should win it by 50. Otherwise, I'm going to be mad anyway. But
I I think that it should be the bounce back week. We should be able to get the win, but I don't feel good about it.
no, I wouldn't either in a million years. It's just, like you said, there's something about that first loss. Is that first loss, and then you kind of, it just like changes your whole outlook on the season.
Yeah.
And then it's like it colors you there, and you're stunned with it for, how do I do it? I guess I get my life back.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh well, okay, now like you still pay attention, you still watch, but you're not nearly as invested
Well,
as
you
you
know
were
what?
when
We
you
at
had
least got past the
hopes.
Tennessee game though this year.
True, 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 true.
We got
You
another
know,
2 weeks in the season. Although if you could call that game against Charlotte much of a game to watch, but
yeah, even that was kind of a disaster to be honest with you, but I mean,
mhm.
it is what it is.
So, any thoughts about the matchup here? Any keys? Because
Well,
to me, this is the game Florida needs to decide to learn to come out and throw the ball because establish the pass to set up the run. But I don't think it's going to happen with this coaching staff. But because this is a game that Vanderbilt, though it's easy to overlook them, but as anemic as Florida's offense has been for scoring points, it could keep Vanderbilt in the game as long as Vanderbilt does not turn the ball over like they've been prone to do this year, especially with quarterback position.
I think that if, like you said, Florida needs to throw the ball, so this should really be an opportunity where Napier gets some of those guys to see who can emerge and be a complementary player to Pearsall and see what they can do in the passing game. Like, don't get me wrong, like I think you still have to run the ball, but if you can hit some decent passes either downfield or even in the middle of the field with your receivers or even a tight end and just kind of open up your offense a little bit, this could be a nice little like a correction game. It's not a bounce back game, but a correction game for Florida.
Right. So, well, we shall see. We shall see what will happen with it. Again, I think it's going to come down to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's got Will Shepard, a really good receiver, and they do have some talent on the offensive side of the ball. The thing will be, will they commit turnovers to allow Florida's defense to, especially at home, it's a loud place to play. It's always tough, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
And thanks, Hungry, for subbing over to Waleed's channels. Appreciate it, and go check them out definitely.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, all right. So, okay. Kentucky goes on the road to Georgia. This is easy. This is an easy one to say after what Kentucky did to Florida last week. This could be an upset special. This could be this one is one that's very easy to fall in love with. Maybe go with the underdog. What do you think with this one?
So here's where I think that Georgia gets right and shows how dominant they actually are. I think Kentucky's going to obviously try and go into this game with a lot of confidence, and that I think that Ray Davis, I think he's going to be a very good running back, but I also don't think he's faced a defense like Georgia's yet, and so it it might look interesting early, but then I think it gets out of hand pretty soon after.
Okay. And I do agree. That's the biggest problem with this game is it looks like the one that you want to call, but my experience has been, until you see the big dog get beaten, you go with the big dog,
Yeah,
especially when they're at home
exactly.
like this, because they're there for a reason. They're in that position for a reason, and it's easy to want to write them off. They look vulnerable, but hey, back against the wall, especially when you're at home, talent emerges, and especially as defensive team like Georgia is. So,
Yep, I
and we
agree.
will talk about our picks in just a minute. We're going to preview the games here. Arkansas goes on the road at Ole Miss. Uh, what could have been a good game at the start of the season now looks very pedestrian with Arkansas winless in the conference. Ole Miss off the upset of it against LSU.
Ole
Do you
Miss
have?
by like 17.
Yeah,
It's gonna be ugly.
yeah. We'll finish our picks off in just a moment. But yeah, this game. What's so sad with this one is that it's a game that on paper at the start of the season could have been a fun game, or even last year. Looking at the talent, you would think, but with KJ Jefferson's performances, it's just it just just what it looks like it's going to be a one sided affair. So all
Yeah.
right, Hungry is now coming in making a not making a joke, but there's an appreciable difference in taste texture between Kentucky barbecue, Georgia barbecue, and Alabama barbecue. Oh, is there? Is there? I don't. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think they're all pretty much the same. I mean,
An
I think
appreciable difference?
yeah,
Hmm.
because I'm used
Uh,
to the sauces. Like I know there's the Memphis barbecue, there's also the Carolina barbecue. But I've never looked at in terms of Kentucky, Georgia, Alabama though.
yeah, so I can't speak for Kentucky barbecues because I've just not really had it. Georgia barbecue and Alabama barbecue, honestly, like I can't tell. I couldn't tell you a true difference outside of just like the types of sauces that they use. Like now, there's a difference between like Carolina barbecue and Georgia barbecue. There's definitely a difference there, and obviously
Mm-hmm.
there's a difference between like Texas barbecue and Georgia barbecue and stuff like that. Just the way that they go about not only seasoning but how they go about cooking it as preparing the food as well. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I mean, it's a good question, but then I guess what that means is I gotta maybe make a trip to Kentucky and another trip to Alabama and try some barbecue and let's test this theory out.
Road trip, road trip. All right, sounds good. Sounds good. And good night, Yemi. You're too young.
Hey, good night, bud.
All right, good. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being there. Yeah, and hungry likes his sauce. Sauce is life. All right. Okay, so we got Western Michigan at Mississippi State. This one, I mean, not much to say. Probably Mississippi State gets healthy on this one.
Yes.
Yeah. LSU is on the road at Missouri. LSU now with two losses on the season, with the only one in the conference, but going the road to Missouri. This is where we may see that if Missouri's for real or not.
I think that this is probably well, I mean, we've got Alabama and Texas A&M, but I think that this is the sneaky good game that people might not be expecting.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think LSU's defense has shown vulnerability against Ole Miss. Missouri, but I think in this case, there's a chance to see if Missouri's offense is for real.
Right.
They've been feasting on a weaker, smaller competition, and you know, I mean, they're 5-0. You don't sell them short for it because it's a really good thing for a program like that to be at 5-0. But the offensive numbers they've been putting up are very un-Missouri like, and but running into LSU buzzsaw, Would it be a buzzsaw or will this be a scoring fest again?
Yeah.
Because you know
This
LSU's going to get their points.
this is good. This could like it's one of those things where it's like, all right, either LSU and Missouri just trade blows like they did in like LSU and Ole Miss last week, or it becomes one of those weird like 17-14 defensive struggle games.
Yeah, out of nowhere, you don't expect.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All
Couple of
right.
turnovers each side.
Yep. And then we finish up with Alabama at Texas A&M, the game of the week in the conference. See, actually, I think we had 2 games of the week. Kentucky, Georgia has the potential, if Kentucky shows up, if the right Kentucky team's there.
Yeah,
Um,
like I
but
said, it's one of
Alabama
those
at
things
Texas
where it's
A&M
interesting.
will be the one that's known as.
Yeah, Alabama and A&M. This definitely. So it's going to be an anticipated matchup just because of the coaches, but also because of the way that Alabama has kind of started their season. Like, is this the game where they show that they're vulnerable and A&M can kind of finally overtake them, or
Mhm.
does Jimbo screw it up? Which is what I'm leaning towards.
Okay. Well, we see. Jalen Milroe is now established as the Alabama quarterback again. So we'll still see what will happen. Nick Saban and his former protege um, match up again. Hey, yes, are icons on the left and right correspond to main colors of the uniforms of the teams? Yes. We've been doing that since last year, and the Missus has done that. You know, you got your orange and blue, you got black and gold, Vanderbilt, blue and white, Kentucky, red and black. So good observation. Bear with me 1 second. Sorry about that. Had to get a drink. So basically, that's the week. Good games coming up, especially 2 of them. 3 of them that LSU Missouri could be a good game. So not a bad action in the conference this week. So now we move into the part where we talk about the standings, because what we do is we pick straight up, no points again. We're not gambling. You see all of our guests for this year at the bottom. Last week, Small Time Republic, the big Auburn fan was 5-2. I was 5-2 also. I have a 7-game advantage over the guest at 45-10 versus 38-17. With that, we move into the games. We say a reminder: we're not a gambling site. We're just having fun about football. We're picking these games straight up, no point. Not that points are. See, the guest could consider points or whatever, but that's not the point. We're not picking spread and stuff like that.
All
Or the
right.
whole thing with you win by if they lose by a certain number.
Yeah,
So,
so we're not no point spreads, just
right,
straight
right.
fun. Pick
Yep,
'em. Who wins, who
exactly.
loses.
So here we go. Vanderbilt at Florida. We go on this, and well, you take Florida. What? One of the things I ask people here, and I hope the new people are still here. Well, I know we've been going almost 2 hours or over 2 hours, but for the new people, like the people, your friends and stuff that are watching, what we do here is we don't necessarily pick things seriously in terms of this. We pick it seriously, but your methods may vary. See, you and I will pick as football fans. I had an engineer, very scientific. I had somebody last year that actually took Dungeon Dragon dice, rolled them repeatedly, like 20 times each time, come up with probabilities to pick winners. I had
Interesting.
the misses actually took bands and mascots and uniforms.
That's
My
fair.
guess that Daisy at the front of the season took the best looking cat mascot. Squeak, our resident mouse, actually used dropped cheese on the winner and used the cheese. And actually, had the cheese dropped on Georgia instead of Stanford, would have tagged me that week. Uh, you know, so we do creative things with here. But Wally, how did you pick this game?
Because Florida, you shouldn't lose to Vandy. That's really the only. That really is the only methodology that I have. If
I'm
you're
straight with you.
Florida, you should not lose to Vandy. Therefore, Florida
Exactly.
wins.
I'm right there with you on that. So now this game, Kentucky, Georgia. Now you have some keys. We talked about what you thought what it could be. So you took Georgia.
Yeah, you take Georgia
Why'd you go?
because you said it earlier. If you're going to beat the beat, if like if you're going to choose the underdog, you've got to prove that you can beat the big dog. But until you prove that you beat the big dog, you take the big dog. So,
Yeah,
case in
because that
point.
burned me. That's burned me so many times lately. And I will agree. This is a game I toyed with a little bit, considering how Kentucky did, but they did it against Florida. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, a team with a weak offense, you know, lack of talent on offense, and really a weak Florida defense too. They're not going to run like they did against Florida against Georgia. There's no way. And Devin Leary did not show the ability to throw the ball very well last week. He was off target on a lot of throws, but he didn't need to throw because they ran the ball and couldn't get stopped. So
Yeah, they ran for like 6 miles. So it is
exactly.
what it is.
It was almost reminiscent of the Florida appearance in the national championship game in the '90s against Nebraska, when the running
Oh,
joke was, "This just in, Tommy Frazier scored again."
right. Oh,
So
jeez.
that's bad memory. We've got Arkansas at Ole Miss. In this game, you take Ole Miss. Okay. Any particular reason why?
Lane Kiffin is my type of chaotic. So let's go.
Yeah. All right. And I will agree with Ole Miss. I'm down on Arkansas. I was positive on Arkansas last year. They let me down. This year they come in and they've let me down right from the start. So I'll take the kitten at home and see how it goes. Hungry says interesting thing about this stuff is that rugby footy is that there's no such thing as a quarterback. The NFL quarterback means so much. It's if they're off the rails, ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. Leaders of
absolutely.
the team and engines of the offense. Basically, if your engine shuts off, your car stops.
Yep, absolutely. So, and Hungry says he doesn't know anything about football, but hey, it's all good, folks. Mississippi State, you take Mississippi State at home, and I will agree with you on that. This is a game where if Western Michigan moves, they might as well shut Starkville down for the rest of the year.
Yeah, agreed.
Just they should not lose this game at home if you're an SEC team. LSU at Missouri. How did you see this one? Oh,
I think I took LSU if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, you did.
Yeah.
How, all right. Any particular reason why? I mean, with them on the road at Missouri.
I so like I said, this is one of those weird games where it's like it could be high scoring just like it was last week, or it could be a randomly defensive mistake prone kind of game. But I think it comes down to Malik Neighbors. I think that he's going to pop off again, and
Mm-hmm.
he is just too good for them to potentially lose that game.
Mm, yep. Um, I agree with you there. I mean, this is another game that would be tempting to take Missouri, but nah, no. I mean, I'm happy for them at 5-0. It's one of those games you kind of actually hope that they will win. You have some success, but you just until you see it, you don't believe it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, brings us to the big game of the week. Alabama visits College Station, and you take Alabama, the Crimson Tide. All right. What was the deciding factor for you in this game?
I don't trust Jimbo Fisher.
Okay. Very good, interesting observation. I got you.
I know that is not in depth and hard hitting football analysis, but sometimes that's just as simple as I don't trust their coach.
Simplicity is the best. I always like when Phil Fulmer was the Tennessee coach because
Hmm.
he found a way to make his better teams just play average.
Yep.
And I was like, yep, I got to call Phil Fulmer once the greatest equalizer in college football. And on this game, as much as I don't like either team, I don't like either coach. You got to respect being, like I said, Bobby Petrino though at Texas A&M, and now with the team being Max Johnson's, and Jalen Milroe is getting on track. Last time he was effective throwing the ball, not a lot of yards, not a lot of passing, but he was effective. The offense moved. But in this case, I'm going to take Texas A&M.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going to take them at home with the crowd, the 12th man, and Bobby Petrino and Max Johnson. That's why. Forget Jumbo. I'm going to take Max Johnson and Bobby Petrino in this game.
Okay.
So we disagree on one game. It's the Alabama Texas A&M game. All the others we agree with.
Pretty chalk, yeah.
Hey, all right. Well, that's not bad. So, um, yep. So, any other thoughts, MC? Before it's been a blast having you on. We've been gone almost 2 hours, 15 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, man. I had a blast. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad that we had a lot of people kind of hop in the chat and chime in and stuff. And it's always good
Absolutely.
to talk football. Just just in general. You got everybody has takes, and you got to get them off sometimes your chest. So I appreciate you having me on.
Mhm.
If you guys want to kind of get more insight about me as a person, you can follow me on Twitter, aka X, at the MC Wale, just spelled the same way as it is on screen. You can follow my personal YouTube channel in the link below, and you can also follow the Stevie Stack Scratchers channel, where we do scratch offs we have scratch off videos, and basically we scratch off books and we
What
play
is
Florida
what is this?
lottery tickets.
What is a scratch? What is what?
Oh, so basically, like we have started. Me and Steven, we love playing like Florida scratch offs,
Mhm.
like scratch off tickets that you can get at like gas stations, Publix, all
Yeah.
that stuff. So we started a channel because we had gotten to the point where we had played a lot of them over the last year. So we started a channel where we basically will buy either a full book of lottery tickets, or we'll buy a collection of them, and we scratch them off and just see how we do. And we obviously we're aiming to try and find big winners and stuff like that. So
Yep.
it's our scratch off
Wow.
channel. We're at like 570 or 570 something subscribers. We're trying to obviously build it, and the one of the cool things about our channel is that anytime we hit a ticket over $500, we Stevie gives away 10% of that to a lucky subscriber. So
Oh, wow. That's cool.
we've given away some money
Well,
on
they
the
pay
channel
you to
already.
watch.
So
Yeah, that's cool.
so that's really cool.
Yeah.
And then yeah, and obviously you can follow me on Twitter, and you can find the MC Wale page on Facebook. Yeah, just chat with me. We talk football, but I also talk life stuff, and I'm a pretty down to earth person. So come with me with good energy, and I'll come right back with the same.
Awesome. It's a blast to have you. Good to actually talk with you tonight. And
Yes, sir.
Wade's back. He said we need to entertain him because he just watched Ahsoka.
Okay, so
All right.
I've heard good things about Ahsoka, and I have not gotten into it so I am way behind on on
I
some of my shows, but
well,
give me
I,
thoughts. Apparently
I'm an
Ahsoka made them rage. Maybe I
I'm an
should get
old
there.
fart. And the whole damn series has been a boring waste of time. It's
Oh,
not just
really?
bad Star Wars. It's bad TV. I
Oh,
think
no.
it's not Star Wars. You don't have the music. You don't have. It's not like the theatrical experience. It's Ahsoka's like looks like she's got a corn cob up her butt the whole time, always frowning and stuff. And it's like it's just like it just is not. But then again, I went into this trying to give it a chance, but I'm one of those that do not like the new stuff. I also did not watch Rebels, and I get annoyed when people keep telling me I have to watch Rebels and all that. And hey, Lisa, yay, she's here. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Yeah, I mentioned Lisa also earlier. It, in passing earlier, and she's also the one that keeps coming in with Mall Liz.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, but hey, Lisa, good to see you today. But yeah, to me, I just don't like it. It's what it
Okay.
is. And I can watch them. And it's like she said, you need to watch Rebels. But I've also heard people say Rebels helps, but doesn't help that much. But then again, I'm an old fart that does say I don't want to watch something else to watch another thing. So,
Okay,
but
all right.
Lisa,
I'm gonna ask one quick question then, real
yeah,
quick.
yeah.
So, obviously, you're not a big fan of Ashoka, and you didn't like Rebels. Did you watch Andor? Because I've
No,
heard great
I
things
didn't
about
watch
Andor.
that either. I here's the problem with it, MC. Here's what I tell people, and that's why I said when I tried to watch Ahsoka, I really tried to be fair and honest. The biggest problem with me is truly is this, and I struggle to get this out of my head. All roads end up with Jake Skywalker. We get the Last Jedi, then we get whatever that rise scheme of Palpatine stuff is, where I'm Ray Skywalker. No, you're not. You're Ray whatever. Shut the hell up and go away. But I just sorry about that. But I mean, but I will say this, Wally, and to anybody out there that's new to the channel, I do also say if you like it, watch it, and I also say watch everything for yourself. Watch it, make your own mind up. I don't listen to me. I mean, I appreciate you letting me tell you what I think, but at the end of the day, I still say, your mileage may vary. You try it yourself. You may like it, you may hate it, and all that other stuff. So, I guess. See, now Lisa's one to maybe listen to. Lisa is one of the people that I know. Her and a couple others I know really are honest. I mean, I'll yell at her all the time, and she'll throw back at me like Maul lives and stuff. But when she says that, okay, then I know she's being fair because she's not all pie in the sky, yay, 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 like some people are. But she when it stinks, she says it stinks. So
All right, fair enough. All right,
yeah,
so Lisa, I'm gonna show this. I'm gonna toss this out to you. You said Andor, and I see the sleeping emojis. And the reason I'm asking is because I've been told that Andor is very similar to kind of like how Rogue One was set up, and I loved Rogue One. I think that was one of my favorite kind of
yes,
side movies. So if it has that same kind of pacing and same kind of like methodical process, then I might be like I'm definitely gonna check out Andor because
yeah.
if it's that same type of vibe, same type of feel, then I'm here for it.
Yeah, I like I love Rogue One too. It was the best of all the mouse stuff, but I just I all roads go to Jake Skywalker. That's the thing I can't, and I think Ahsoka should have not been around for after Order 66. She was not a Jedi. She never finished being Jedi training, and all this crap about retconning her to being Jedi is no, 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 no. Sorry, my
No, hey man,
Mads.
this is why
Hey,
this is good stuff.
yeah, hey Mads, how are you tonight? Try you may like it. Okay. Hey, and she says hello to you, Wale. Okay.
Hello.
She said, okay, I'll be good now. Yeah, and Lisa said though Andor's nothing like Rogue One. So
Okay, all right. Well,
all right.
I will give it a chance when I get some free time to
Yeah.
do it.
That's the thing is and like I said, honestly, is give it all your shot if you want to. I'm jaded. I'm Luke Skywalker that ended up on that stupid deserted isle milking the dumb sea cow with the blue milk. So because it's like to me, it's just, and they gave Han a punk ass death too. It was
So
such
I
a
know a lot of people hated that, but the way I look at it, and obviously like I think I'm coming at it from a different I'm coming at it from a slightly different generation, but
yeah
I am not I don't compare the updated trilogy to the old trilogy. I look at it like yes, the stories are supposed to be, relatively cohesive or whatever, but like I just try to keep that frame of reference like okay, these sets of movies were never really meant for everyone to be like, oh hey, this is a continue like a faithful recreation of what George Lucas did with the original trilogy. It is kind of an expansion of the lore and the world building and stuff like that. And I know that a lot of decisions were controversial, but I don't necessarily I don't think they were bad because they were different. I just think that they were different, and that's why people were perceiving it as like, oh, this is horrible.
well
Like,
I that's another stream for another day. We'll probably have to bring you back for that one because I like the EU was not perfect in all sense, but it created an establishment, it created a world, a universe, and stuff. And I don't think you could have made the EU any of the movies just like the EU because it would have been boring. Not everything would have worked. But I think to me, and I'm going to try to be quick with it, is that the point that that Disney got it off, that it felt like they had to create all new characters and all this other side crap instead of keeping it on the main thing, which was it should the focus should have stayed on the Skywalker bloodline. Anakin was the promised one. Anakin was the chosen one, and that's where it should have stayed in the Skywalker bloodline. It should have been, even if you want to call the kids different names, it should have been Luke's kids, so Leia's kids going forward, not some girl they found on a planet as in a junk shop.
Right.
But that's at least in a long, that's a short story of it. You got a Cliff's Notes version of it. I probably could be.
I'm not trying to. I don't want to fluster. I don't want to ruffle any feathers.
No. Hey,
where...
no. I'll tell you what. I love the debates on this channel. I love debating people on all kinds of channels. Everybody gets to say what they want to say, what you like, what you don't like. If we all thought the same, it would be boring.
Fair enough.
Now, I still though say if the world would be perfect if everybody just listened to me and do everything I say, and then y'all treat me good, then y'all be good. But hey, MC Wally, I thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you
for having me on, man. It's
absolutely. I'm going to just throw a few things out. So hey, Sunday nights at 6:00, I'm going to do a yes, no tangents. I'm linear. I'm linear. I love it. But yeah, Sunday night, usually I've been doing this as something recently, which is just kind of informal drop by. I want to do is about 6 to 8. I end up looking at the college football results from the day before, look at the top 25s, and end up talking NFL as the games wind down, the 4:00 games on Sunday afternoon. Join us for that. Also, a week from let's see what's it's 2 weeks from Thursday, because we're off our normal cycle. Our guest will be the great JT Kirk, our Michigan State fan. We'll be talking college football, SEC college football with us. So hey, exactly, join us for that. Another one of these. What? Oh, hey, look, fab guest. Yes, there's a good one. Yes, that's a good one. Now, she's not saying the guest. I think Lisa's saying that I'm boring with my linearness. And then hungry linear boys unite. you guys rock. I think tell you what a great chat. Now y'all still here with us. This all the guests that have been here. We're halfway through the season with the shows. We only got 6 more to go. Oh my gosh, it's amazing how fast it flies. So that it's hungry, get that French stuff. Gouache, no galoshes here, or no goulashes. So I don't like goulash. So anyway, but hey, I'm playing unartistic to my artistic friends out there. So because there's just, I tell you what, folks, the great Mads Bombear is here with us. This is a treat to have her tonight. She's a great artist in her own self too. So join us for these next matches coming up. 19th, JT Kirk. Then again, October 17th, Tuesday night, Battlestar Galactica, the original series. It's a one-night event at this point. Become prepared to see some special things that I have. But I've got an amazing panel that want to talk about it. Lisa, who's in our chat, Supergirl herself, JT Kirk, who's not with us tonight, and the great Hungry Boy, as you see in the chat. So join us for this, a look at the old original series. So, Lisa, I know your food pictures are famous, so yeah, I'm sure that they're delicious. And actually, I've said if Lisa made eggs, I would eat them. I'm one that does not like eggs, so that badly. All right. So, and then watch for us sometimes with chill chats or something where we just take a random topic and talk about whatever it is that I want to talk about. Sometimes bring some friends on. Fortnite fun. Also, they tend to be impromptu these days. Hey, come watch us play some Fortnite, blow some stuff up. Yeah. Yes, I'm going to bring out not the toys, but I got some interesting things for the Battlestar Galactica coming up. I mean, it will be interesting, folks. And late night with Dadman and friends is something we're doing recently. It's all collectibles. It's all good. Collectibles, toys. But this is one we've been doing. Started recently with where we do come on like at midnight and just kind of, or even before, just go late in the night and just chat about whatever comes up. So join us for that. Also, as always, the live streams, videos, youtube.com, twitch.tv. You'll see them there. They're saved there. Look at our playlist. Um, they're both at Dadman Walking 55 and on Twitter or X as Dadman Walking 55. I made it a one-stop shopping, all the same name everywhere. Because like on X, apparently there's somebody that's got my name, but an old avatar I use, but it's not at Dadman Walking 55. So look at Dadman Walk 55. So uh, yeah, I guess they're about the things. I'm not sure. I'm not sure right now. My back's giving me some fits on something. So we'll talk after the chat. But hey, MC, thank you again. Appreciate you
Yep.
being here. We've made
Absolutely,
it.
man. Thank you for so much, man. This was a lot of fun.
Now, guess what? In about 6 seconds, we will have made it exactly 2.5 hours. So, because me and round numbers, I like round numbers. We can now say goodnight because we have made 2.5 hours. Thank you again, MC Wally. Everybody, good night. Would you want to say one last thing?
Oh no, just everybody have a good night.
All right. Oh gosh, then we got food chat in here. Yeah, and then amazing. Good night, everybody. Y'all have a great night. Thank you all for being here. We'll catch you next time. Bye.